All right, there we go. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Rant with me, Pugs Moran, every day, Monday through Friday, around about noon, live here from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. You can follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. Just go to Pugs Moran. Just go to Google and put Pugs Moran social platforms, and all of them will come up. Follow the show, forward, subscribe, do all of that stuff. I'm supposed to say that stuff, and it's important, and I don't say it enough. Welcome to a surprise Friday show. A surprise Friday show. We do this show Monday through Friday. We've been doing it every Monday through Friday around about noon, although we moved to like 2 o'clock for a while just to see if later in the day worked. It didn't. Anyway, we've been doing this show every day at noon since 2021. It is Talk for Normal People. Talk for people who we can still do business with. The American salt of the earth. That's who this show is for. Nobody partisan, nobody radicalized, nobody being weird about shit, okay? Now, we do it Monday through Friday, but yesterday I told you we weren't going to do a show today. Yeah, I had some plans. I didn't have plans. I had an obligation that I thought I was going to do, but I didn't have to do that. So look at us, we're here. Look at us, we're here. We got a show, a surprise Friday show, and we got a big show for you too. Got a lot of stuff I want to get into. Excuse me. I'm dealing with my cold stuff again. You want to know why? Because it was 30 yesterday and it's going to be 65 today. That's why. And my body, with those crazy changes, it just, it fills up with, it's awful. I cough at night. And now listen to my voice. My voice is going, we'll be fine. It just takes a couple of days and you just got to let me complain about it for a minute and then we'll move on. I told you yesterday we started the show. Here, listen to my voice. It's not even. I told you yesterday at the start of the show. I told you about a fight. Remember, I told you about the fight. My poor sainted mother, who did what mothers do, which is just hit nerves in their kids that nobody else in the world would know to hit the nerve, but mom can do it. I told you I bought a new TV and installed it for them because they had a problem with the old one, and then because it's a new TV, there's some getting used to the process, right, and all that stuff. So there were a few issues, and my mom said from the other room yesterday, I think you bought a bum TV, and that triggered me. And like I said, nobody else in the world could trigger me with that other than my mom. And I yelled at her and she's not feeling well. And I felt bad about it. And oh my God, but we got through it. See, sometimes you got to have the fight to have the hug. Sometimes you don't have the hug. If you have the hug first, if you don't do a lot of hugs first, you got to go through the fight to get the hug. And the hug is really the end result you're looking for in life anyway, right? Okay. So we made up. Well, of course we made up. That's the other thing I think about fighting with, and I'm going to put it in three categories, I suppose. I just don't have much familiarity with the third. Fighting with your mom or dad, that's one. Fighting with a parent, fighting with a child, or probably in the one that I don't have much experience with, fighting with your sibling. These are fights that are different than all the other fights you will have out in the real world. And we know why. It's because it's family. It's because you can say shit to these people, the people who love you more, love you unconditionally. You can say shit and you can fight in a way with a freedom, try new techniques, you can do that with these people because you're still going to give them bone marrow if they get sick, and you're still going to have Thanksgiving with them, and you still love their kids because they're your nieces. And so that's kind of, I think, the deal with my mom and I. Because I argue with people, like I debate, but it never gets hostile. I know where the line is, and I know how to manipulate in an argument, to keep it fun, keep it light. Not with mom, though. With moms, it's basically, and I don't say that, would never say this to my mom, but with moms in those people, those groups that I described, our mothers, our brothers, our sisters, our children. Oh my God. That's a little bit unfair. That fight's a little bit unfair, right? When you're a parent fighting with your kid. The kid has no rules, right? This is really the dynamic I think that's interesting here. When let's say a mother or father is arguing, fighting with their son or daughter, that son or daughter has nuclear options that parents don't. Like parents do have a nuclear option, but if you're a parent, you may as well not have it. And that is, I'm disowning you. Get out of my house, right? That's never going to happen. The parent is never going to do that nuclear option if they're, and I'm only thinking of the right kind of parents. We're going to talk today about the wrong kind of parent. Oh, God. We got a story about the wrong kind of parent. Mom, pay attention when you're packing your kids' lunch because, it's a wild world out there. I'll tell you about that. Anyway, so you fight with your parents in that way, but a kid has no boundaries. And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, I wouldn't want my kid to, in any part of himself, believe that there is a line he could cross with me that would make me not love him anymore, right? That's sort of that's the heavy lifting of unconditional love. No matter what this person says to you, you're going to love them. And I think that it's the same for a mom, same fighting up, like me fighting with my mom. It's the same, like as you age, as you mature, you're not as awful as a teenager fighting with their mom is, right? But you start to understand the process of, my God, I snapped on her. I'm a grown-ass man in his 50s and I just snapped on my mom. What is that about? And again, it's just about this. We cross lines and fights with these people. Kids don't have any boundaries. Especially, as I say, if it's a kid who knows that his parent loves him, that kid can say fucking awful shit and storm off into, I hate you. Like, could you imagine as a parent ever saying that to your kid? Could you imagine as a parent going, I hate you? No, you wouldn't do that. You would never do that. But a kid, man, kid don't care. A 16-year-old kid is going to tell his mom that he hates her guts. He doesn't give a shit. You know why? Because ultimately he knows that's his mommy, and his mommy loves him, and his mommy will let it go. I don't know. Anyway, this morning, that's a long way to ramp up to tell you about yesterday morning, the fight I had with my mom. Oh my God, this morning I overslept. First of all, I overslept, which isn't the reason we're doing the show. I overslept because I didn't think I was doing a show. So anyway, so I get out of bed and I walk into the kitchen and there's mom and, she's up and around and that's awesome. And I'm like, what's going on? And she turns to me like before good morning. No, actually I said, here's how it went. I go, good morning. And she goes, no, it's not. And when people are sick, you're thinking the worst. So I'm like, oh God. Okay. All right. What happened? Good morning, Mom. It's not a good morning. Oh God. What happened? The TV doesn't work. The TV. No, it's the TV. So I go into the man cave and, it's not their fault. This is what I say. It's a new TV, right? These are the things that happen with new technology, when you're used to certain steps to do certain things. And I got first thing in the morning. Good morning, Mom. It's not a good morning. Oh, God. Are you okay? What's wrong? The TV doesn't work. And I'm like, well, that's just stupid. Okay. I'm not worried. That doesn't make it a bad morning. Right. That's my internal monologue. Like I'm mad at her now. I'm like, well, I can fix that. That's not, I'm worried about you. You're telling me, it's the TV now that's causing the stress. Okay. So I go in there. It was an input thing, with new remotes, sometimes you accidentally hit the wrong button and, something happened. And it was on the wrong input. So I just hit the right input and boom, TV's fixed. There we go. Although it is a problem with the Vizio. When you turn the TV off, right? Maybe you have this problem if you have a cable box connected to your smart TV. When you turn it off, what you want is when you turn the TV back on, you want it to come up on the cable box. Whatever input that is on your smart TV, you want it to, and you're supposed to be able to set it to default to the last input used. And I do this every time, default to the last input used. And then I'll test it. I'll turn it off. And I'll turn it back on, hoping that it defaults to the last input used. And it does. And it's great. And I'm like, all right, it's set. And then 24 hours later, it doesn't default to the last input used. Anyway, that was my morning. How was your morning, everybody? It's so nice to be here. Let's say hi to the chat room. We've got in the chat room. Who was first? Let me pull my romper room Miss Sally mirror up. I got to get a mirror. I got to get a Miss Sally mirror. That would be good for this bit. I'm going to do it every day. All right. Taronda is our winner. I see Taronda. I see Peter. I see Byron. I see Desip 200. Well, this is here we go. I don't believe I've seen. Hold on. Why it's going really slow? Why is it going slow? Hold on. Yeah, right now is the time, everybody. I need you all to say hello. We're all saying hi, so I can see who I'm dealing with today. There he is. All right, show. There we go. All right. Says Dasip 2000 says sup, y'all. Didn't say no show today. I did. I said no show today, but again, as I explained, things changed, and so we're here, and it's good to see you. I don't know that I've ever seen Dasip 2000 before in the chat room. That's what we want. We want more people in the chat room. Let's have some fun here. We're talking about things. We're exchanging ideas. Hell, I have a dream. You know, in the start of the show, when we began this show, we had a phone line. I want to start taking calls. I think that might be a wrinkle that could be different to this. Taking calls with the chat room. Although, you know, timer, you're on a timer, and we'll have to establish from the beginning that when I get bored, I'll just hang up on you, and you're not going to take it personal. Okay? Just, we'll do that. Because we don't have a full phone bank. We only got one call, and there's no way to screen them, so it's just going to be, hey, how are you? And then it's going to be ba-ba-booey. And I'm going to be like, okay, that's fun. That's a good time. All right, we've got, who else? Back to the Miss Sally Romper room. We got Jen, we got Peter, we got Barney, we got Jeff. Hi, Jeff. We've got Byron. Byron would like everyone to know that he can get weird. He sure can. Gets weird. We can all get weird. There's nothing wrong with getting weird. Jeff Ballard in the chat room. Jeff says the kid is heading to his grandparents for the weekend. The teen has to work and also refuses to have a party, even though I said I'd buy a 12-pack of something. Got our smaller than normal tax refund and getting ready to head to the casino for the night. Good luck, Jeffy. You got it. Look at you, man. You're living like you're 25 again. It's only for about 24, 48 hours, but man, you go for it. You got to find your joy where we can find our joy. That's what life is about. Stop leaning into the, oh man, and start leaning into the, hey, that's interesting, because that's available to you too. Good job. Good luck there at the, by the way, we should probably mention the thing that he led with there, that he's buying alcohol for underage kids. How do we feel about that? I mean, I don't know that, there were parents who did that for us when we were kids. High school graduation parties. None of us were 21, but every high school graduation party allowed us to drink. By the way, is that an 80s thing? Is that an 80s, early 90s thing? Where parents were more like, is that something that still happens? Like if you go to a high school graduation party where everybody is 17, 18, and probably younger, there's probably some underclassmen who are going to be there, some sophomores and juniors. So you've got this backyard filled with high schoolers who are celebrating the end of their, high school career, and the summer between high school and college, really fun. You get a keg for them, right? I mean, in the 80s, you would get the kids a keg, and then you'd cross your fingers and you'd hope that everything would be okay. And most of the time it was. Sometimes it's not. And then it becomes a thing. And then you're a bad parent. And everybody sues you, and you lose your house. Or I don't know. Is that still a thing? I guess it is still a thing, because Jeff is like, I'll buy a 12-pack. Here's what you do. You don't, look, nobody here is going to say anything about it, Jeff. If there is any sort of legal proceedings that follow up on this, we got your back. We understand. You're normal. But here's the process. You don't announce it, and you say, are you having a party? And then you just happen to stock the fridge with beer for you. If those fucking kids steal it, that, I don't know. I think that's how you morally get around what could be a complicated kind of conundrum. Wanting your growing children to have fun in the experiences that we have, even if it means circumventing the laws. It's all right. It's all right. Jeff is in the chat room. Who else do we have in the chat room? Miss Sally holding up her mirror. I said, Peter, there's my guy. Al, we got Mama B. So good. Every time I see Mama B, I get a little bit of a swell in my heart. She's such a wonderful lady. I wish there was a way I could do this. You know how I struggle with the chat room, seeing who's all there. Oh, there's Aaron. It's Aaron's birthday week. my buddy Aaron, I had to give him a shout out today because I'm not on Facebook. Like, Facebook was really good, man. When I was on Facebook, I was right on all my buddies' birthdays. I happen to have a very famous birthday, which is why I expect all of my friends to know that my birthday is July 20th. It may as well be Christmas. July 20th, the day that man accomplished the single greatest feat in human history. We set foot on the moon. That's my birthday. So I expect all my friends to expect that know my birthday. Aaron, though, he's like a rando March birthday, and I knew it was early in March, so I reached out to him today, and I'm like, your birthday's like maybe tomorrow, maybe, I don't know, but here, I'm thinking of you. That's how weird I am. I need to have my, I need to get my credit. Maddie is here. It's always good to see Maddie. There's my guy, Peter. Who else do we have in the chat room today? Anybody new? Yeah, there's Adam. Okay. Oh, it's always nice to see Billy, my Billy boy. It's good to see Billy. Holy shit. Not only do we have Mama B, but we've got the boy B. The boy B is here. Well, I'm not so wonderful. Tom, you better follow up with that. Look, if you don't follow up with that, then I'm going to think that, but if you're not so wonderful because, I don't know, some fucking Cub sprained his ankle, then, fuck off with that. And look at Mom. Look at Mama B to her son. Yes, you are, Tom. Look at that. I got a family in the chat room. This is what's so wonderful about this place. To which Tom responds, as my mom. Yeah. All right. Hey, we got Tom in the chat room. I got to tell you, this is pretty good. Tom is a football guy. Tom is a very well-regarded football coach, former great football player, high school all-star, big giant dude. Look, honestly, Tom was good, but he was also blessed. It's like Tom was like a brick wall. He was gigantic. He still is. Well, actually, no, he's not. No, he's not. But he was gigantic back then. And so he knows a lot about football. And now he's a football coach at the high school level here in Illinois downstate. So I gotta ask you, Tom. And again, this is just for us. And I'm sorry, chat room, you can go kick rocks. Well, unless you're a Bears fan. But I have a Bears question that I've been obsessing on with my son. We heard from my son yesterday. My 16-year-old son, Mason, called me in the middle of the day to tell me he got the job. Yeah, my kid went for his first job interview. He's going to get himself a job because he's 16 now. And that's what we do. He went and got a job at 16. In and out. You can be an In-N-Out fry cook. I love it. Anyway, he called in yesterday. It's always nice to hear from him. It's always nice when he agrees to go on the air, too. Like, I'll never put him on the air cold because what if something horrible is happening, right? And he's like, Dad, don't fuck with me right now. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I'll go on the air. So I'm like, okay. So we talked to him yesterday. But here's what's going on between Tom. Here's the question. Tom's probably teaching a class, so I better hurry up. He's a high school teacher. My son and I are going back and forth on the Max Crosby to the Bears deal, which is just like all anybody here in Chicago sports media is talking about right now because we're anticipating something happening. Here's what we know as a fact. We know that Max Crosby is unhappy in Las Vegas. We know that the Chicago Bears are quite possibly a dominant edge rusher away from winning a Super Bowl. We also know that Caleb Williams went on Max Crosby's podcast 2 weeks ago, and they were like absurdly buddy-buddy with each other. Like the love was weird. Then we also know that last weekend we had Caleb Williams picking up Max Crosby at O'Hare International Airport and apparently spending the whole weekend running around town showing Max Crosby Chicago. Caleb is honeypotting Max Crosby, and that's got Chicago sports media all abuzz. So we're thinking, what are we willing to do? And this is my question for you, Tom. Tom, so here are two trade scenarios that my son and I are a little bit, back and forth on. Okay, so here's trade. I want you to tell me what you think the trade scenario is that gets Max Crosby, because I think it's something like this. I think it's obviously our first this year, right? And I think that there's a lot of talk about including DJ Moore because Fernando Mendoza, who is obviously going to be the number 1 overall pick to the Raiders, he's their new quarterback. He's going to need a really good wide receiver 1. And quite frankly, the Bears are stacked at wide receiver and DJ's really expensive. So we can trade him, trade expensive for expensive. So I think it's going to be a 1. I think it'll be DJ. And then here's what I like, Tom. I like a conditional second for next year. A conditional second that'll start out as a 3rd, but if, Max reaches certain goals and all that stuff, then it'll become a 2nd. Tom Beller, what do you think? My son doesn't think it's going to take that much. My son thinks that because of his injury, because he's coming off of 2 seasons in a row now where he was injured, and because he's older than Micah, that all of these things about, well, it's going to take more than Micah for the Bears to land him, he thinks it's all bullshit. He thinks that you can get Max Crosby without DJ Moore. He thinks you can get Max Crosby for a 1 and possibly a 2 next year. He's like, you can do a 1 and a 2 next year if you'd be willing to do that. And you could keep DJ. And then you could trade DJ to the Tennessee Titans for Jeff Pig Simmons, which I love. My kid is like a little GM. Tom, any thoughts? All right. Oh, he's at lunch. Tom is at lunch. All right, so that's the pitch. I want to hear from Tom. I want to hear what he thinks his Max Crosby trade is. We're not going to do it on the air, but I do want to see it. All right, so that's the trade that I like. I'm willing to give up DJ Moore, but I love my son's idea of, I don't think you're going to have to give up DJ Moore, and I think you can trade DJ Moore in a second deal to Tennessee and maybe get yourself, Pig Simmons. Which could you imagine? Could you imagine Montez Sweat, Max Crosby, Pig Simmons, Grady Jarrett, and Gervon Dexter? Our defense is fixed. Fuck it, we're fixed. You can dream. It is silly season, though. I think it is silly season where we're having all of these crazy dreams and all that stuff. I think DJ in a 1. We want DJ involved. Yeah, we do want DJ involved, but I don't know. Do you think there's any credence to my kid's belief that you may not need to give DJ because you can make the argument that Max isn't anywhere near what Micah was last year? Max is a broken bird. You can make the argument. The problem is that somebody's going to overpay. Somebody's going to come in and somebody's going to give like 2 firsts and it's going to be awful. But anyway, I'm not willing to mortgage our future for him. I think that, you can do better things. We can bring a guy like Khalil Mack in. Let's bring Khalil back, right? And then let's hope that Dio Adengbo is not a piece of garbage, and let's go from there. Anyway, I wouldn't fight. I would not fight. I would not fight the Max Crosby deal, but it's got to make sense. Pipe dreaming on Mason's part, but I love the moxie. Well, he's, kind of quoting Daniel Jeremiah. That's what Daniel Jeremiah says at him. So, I give my kid credit for leaning into that, but he'll really argue about, health and how you're absurd if you're comparing what the Cowboys and the Packers did last year with Micah to what, Max Crosby and the Bears could do this year, because Max Crosby is not the same thing as what Micah was in that deal. I think he actually is. I think he is, but because of the injuries, you can make the argument that we don't know. So I don't know. Tom says, need to get DJ's money off the books. Raiders are stupid, but they'll need a player back. Yeah, the concern is that the Raiders are going to go, yeah, we'll do that deal. We'll do the 1. We'll do the conditional second next year. And we'll take a player, but we want Rome Odunze. Like that's who, if I was, the Raiders GM, I would look, DJ's great. You are totally happy if you end up with DJ, but you push it. You ask for Rome or Luther Burden. You don't ask for the older guy, DJ, right? The expensive older guy. You ask for the 23, 22-year-old who's, still on his rookie deal. All right. We can't do this. We can't do this. We got to stop. I can do a whole football show, man. I'm telling you, I am so football silly season right now. I could do a whole football show. Tom says, but Packers gave Dallas an All-Pro. Yeah, that's true. Kenny Clark. Yeah, but would that be commensurate with what DJ is? I mean, I know that you can't say. Is DJ as good at wide receiver as Kenny Clark is at, what is he at? 3 technique? What is he a tackle offensive or defensive tackle? I think so. Yeah, I think they're commensurate position-wise, even if those positions aren't necessarily the same thing. I don't know. All right, we got to get off the football talk because we got way more stuff to talk about like this. Hey, are you looking for something to watch this weekend? Let me tell you what I've been watching. I told you yesterday at the end of the show that I was very excited because I was going to go home and I was going to watch the new episode of The Pit because I'm totally into The Pit on HBO Max now. And because new episodes of The Pit starring Noah Wiley, created by all the same people who created ER, which posts at 9 o'clock Central Time on Thursdays. No, not at all like ER. It's the same fucking show as ER. It's just maybe a little better. Yeah, The Pit's good. So I told you I was going to watch The Pit, and then I was going to like catch up on my John and Caroline romance thing. Well, that plan went to shit last night. I didn't see any of that stuff. I didn't watch. I still got... Here's why. My television viewing is spoken for easily the next 72 hours. I can tell you, if you randomly call me on Saturday afternoon, I'll answer and I'll have to pause the new season of Drive to Survive. The new season of Drive to Survive just posted on Netflix. And oh my God, let me tell you why this is so important to me. Now, you know I'm Johnny Formula One. Even though that car's not a Formula One car. Although it is an open wheel racer. But anyway, I'm Johnny Formula One. I love the Formula One stuff. You people who hate sports, you just went, Jesus, we just went through 15 minutes of Bears talk. Now he's going to do Formula One. And this is Formula One through the prism of TV viewing. So it's a little different. Because I don't believe that you have to be a Formula One fan to absolutely love Drive to Survive, which the new season posted on Netflix today. Here's why. Because although I have always been a fan of auto racing, that's actually my uncle behind us, right? That's so I guess you could say I come from a racing family, although I'm not really a gear queer. But, you know, I've always, from, you know, my youngest times, oh, your uncle's down in Indy. Oh, your uncle's over in Europe. Oh, your uncle, you know, all of this like cool shit that was always like, you know, my uncle does this cool shit. I mean, imagine that for a 9-10-year-old kid, their uncle, the race car driver, race car builder, race car owner, all of that stuff. It's cool. And not like, you know, the local dirt tracks. I mean, we're talking Monaco. We're talking, you know, it's cool shit. So I've always sort of tangentially been interested in Formula One. But back in the day, he raced Formula, he worked Formula One, he worked for the Elf team. I don't know if there was a really good team back in the 70s. They were sponsored by Elf. I don't even know what Elf is, but that was who he worked for. And then he went to work for Paul Newman for Newman Haas Racing and then Nissan. Anyway, point is this, I love Formula One, although I hadn't really been into Formula One for about 10 years. Right? Michael Schumacher really pushed me away from Formula One. And I think Michael Schumacher is a god. But when somebody is that good for that long, you tend to go, this isn't interesting anymore. This isn't, there's one car that's going to win this race, every fucking race. And that's essentially what Michael Schumacher was back in the day. So I kind of lost interest. Drive to Survive was created by Netflix to break Formula One into the American audience, into the American market. And it worked brilliantly. I mean, we are 7 seasons into this, and there are now 3 Formula One races in America. There were 0. We got Austin, we got Miami, we got Vegas. They're expanding. They're looking at doing another one in a major city through a road course. I mean, could you imagine New York, Chicago, or a Los Angeles Grand Prix? I mean, very cool. Very cool stuff. So Formula One got really hot over the last couple of years here in America. It's a very fast growing, you know, interest. It's now on TV. Like every race is right there on TV. It's very exciting and fun to watch. But what Drive to Survive on Netflix has been able to do, which is what expanded the fucking audience, man. I mean, it just blew up. All of a sudden, everybody's a Formula One fan. What they were able to do for men, and this, although I do know girls who love this show too, because all the drivers are really hot and it is very soap opera-y. Yeah. Drive to Survive is a soap opera. It is Real Housewives, except it's fucking Formula One drivers. And, you know, if you love the way Bridget and Cammie argue on Real Housewives, you will love the way Tito Wolff and who's the other guy that Wolf, Christian Horner. You'll love the way these team principals deal with each other. It's great. It is so fascinating. And it really rekindled my love for Formula One about 7 years ago. So every season of it I've been watching. Now, last year I did something different because here's what I realized after watching the last season's Drive to Survive. I knew the outcome. I knew I had watched the entire previous Formula One season that season of Netflix reality show would cover. So I knew who won. I knew everything. And I'm watching Drive to Survive, and I still love it because all these backstories and the little infighting and the bitchiness and the money and the supermodels and the yachts. I mean, it's just all of that stuff I ultimately found more interesting than the actual season. So I tried something. I experimented. And this was, my kid was really mad at me because we used to watch the Formula One races together. But last season, I blacked out on Formula One. I said, I'm not going to pay attention to anything in Formula One. I canceled all my alerts on my phone and on my computer, and I went dark. Why? Because I wanted to experience the 2025 Formula One season virginally through Drive to Survive. Now, I know it's not Red Bull anymore, and please don't give any spoilers away, and I understand who was on the rise, and you know I'm a McLaren fan, so I know about all of that, but I can't wait. So that's what the next 72 hours of my life is going to be. Real Housewives of Formula One. That's what I'll be watching. And honestly, if you do not understand Formula One, if you're not interested in it, and that's fine, it's car racing. It is the coolest of all the car racing, though. I'm sorry, there's, NASCAR is fine, but let's be honest, it's a bunch of Chevrolets going in a circle for 500 miles. It's not a lot. Formula One is fucking twists and turns and road courses and straightaways and oh my God. It's very exciting. But if you're not into it and you do just like soap opera reality shows with, people who are worth like 100 million, like the poorest guy in Formula One, the poorest driver is like worth 20 million a year. It's like, yeah, I'm the guy who sucks. I make 20 million a year. The money and the extravagance and how important every little thing is and how that turns into huge fights. And anyway, it's great. Drive to Survive on Netflix. That's my pick to click for this week. And all right, let's talk about some things. I'll tell you what we're going to get into today. Of course, we got Bill up there. Bill is testifying. We'll talk about that. We're going to get into the Texas Senate primary and why the Republicans, especially the ones in Washington, are panicking. I feel so good about this. I've been calling this out for the better part of a year, that Texas is ripe to turn blue. And everybody, well, except for some people, but almost everybody was saying, Texas will never go blue. Texas would never elect a Democratic Senate. That was the response. And I'm like, what? I'm old enough to remember Texas under Ann Richards. I'm old enough to remember Texas under Lloyd Benston. What are you talking about? Half of the shit in Texas is named after Lyndon Johnson. What do you mean? We're seeing it, and the GOP is panicking. They're sending Trump down because they're well, we'll get into all of that anyway. I don't want to do that now. We're going to talk about the Netflix situation. And, we've been covering the Netflix wants to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, but so does Paramount Skydance. And Paramount Skydance, led by the Ellisons, are fucking monsters. And we've got an update on that. And it ain't good. So I'll tell you all about that. We've got a Savannah Guthrie update again. Trump and Mandami. We're going to talk about this, because I think it is so incredibly telling. Trump and Mandami. That's right. The evil, if you listen to the extremely effective right-wing branding, the evil communist, Stalinist, whatever, mayor of New York and Donald Trump are like buddies. They're like, buddy, like Trump loves this guy. This guy doesn't love Trump. This guy knows what Trump is, but he's got some kind of Trump magic. Trump is like a little fucking schoolgirl around this Stalinist communist. He'll have you believe. It's weird. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to look at some things, and I'm going to tell you what I think is going on here. All right, so we'll do that as well. Also, Tucker's got a plan for the Jews. Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about Tucker's plans for the Jews. Also, here's something I want to get into today. This is, sometimes I pull shit from the internet that triggers me. And I'm like, this will make an interesting conversation on the air. Vanessa Bryant is, I would say, in the news, but I don't know if she's in the legitimate news. She's in, the bullshit Twitter, Facebook news. Vanessa Bryant is the widow of Kobe Bryant. There is a rumor out there that she is, and Kobe Bryant's been dead how many years? 6, 5? How is it that long? It's been a while, right? It's been 5 years, 6 years since. Vanessa Bryant is a hot piece. I mean, Vanessa Bryant is a beautiful young woman who was handed a tragedy. And the rumors out there now are that she's pregnant and that she's getting ready to marry another man. And there are people, and I'll share it with you, that think that she is just the devil. The same people, by the way, it's interesting, who are calling Vanessa Bryant a devil, seem to have no problem with Erica Kirk. They seem to have no problem with the way Erica Kirk is behaving. But Vanessa Bryant, 6 years after the death of her husband, there's a rumor that she's pregnant. And by the way, this isn't, well, we'll get into all that. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what are your expectations of being a widow, right? Why on earth would anyone expect Vanessa Bryant to have to be lonely and alone for the rest of her life? Her husband died when she was like 30. I mean, my God, life goes on. You think Kobe Bryant is a Gotta save this rant. This is what happens with a stream of consciousness presentation. Sometimes you start to dip into the rant. You got to hit the brakes. So we'll talk about that as well. Also, I want to do something fun with Twitter. I'm doing this series where I'm exposing bullshit at Twitter. Yesterday, we talked about all of the pro-MAGA sites on Twitter that are actually coming from foreign countries. We identified some of the sites. We talked about the countries they come from. This was all due to an investigation by Wired Magazine. It's very interesting. If you haven't read it, it's out there. It's good. So today we're going to talk about a new thing that I discovered on Twitter, which might be one of my favorite things. We're going to talk about the pedo traps on Twitter. And I don't know, there are sites out there on Twitter that just post innocuous stuff. They're not right. It's not political. Like, not everything on Twitter is political. Some people are actually funny. So there are these sites that post these really innocuous things. Like the one we shared yesterday where we talked about somebody posted the question, if I offered you $15 million and you had to do a line of coke for $15 million, would you do it? Pretty innocuous Twitter. So that's the kind of things they post. They don't post, let's get Biden, or, they don't post that shit. They're innocuous. But the icon is always a 16-year-old girl. The icon is always like a 16-year-old girl, and her page always looks like it's decorated like a teenage girl's bedroom. And then you look, and they have 500,000 followers. And then you look at who their followers are. You look at the people who are following these 16-year-old girls. It's fun. So we're gonna investigate that. I'm gonna show you some examples. Really? What are you doing? It's like, could you imagine you're just on Twitter and you see an innocuous tweet and you click the comments? It's like from a 16-year-old girl. You click the comments and then you see your dad. Like, Dad, why are you interacting with someone who's presenting as a 16-year-old girl? What the fuck, Dad? Oh. And some of it's creepy. Like, there'll be like a 60-year-old guy that's like, good afternoon, mi amor. Pedos. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We're also rebooting Baywatch, and there's a bunch of stuff we'll get into today. We're going to talk about all that stuff. All right, first, before we do, and we're going to get started here, I do want to thank our executive producer of today's show. Our executive producer of today's show through the rest of the month, because she bought the month, is Heidi. Heidi doesn't even want this. There was no stipulation to her saving the show last month when we desperately needed X amount of dollars. She heard me say it, and then she tipped it. She didn't say, you've got to make me no, she bought the month. She gets the month. Thank you to everybody else who has participated in keeping this show afloat. There have been some producers that went unnoticed over the past couple of days because of Heidi. We apologize, and I hope you understand, and I will do my best to play catch up. If you do want to help support this show, you can. We're going to start a pledge week next week, though. So just so you know, next week we're going to set the number, and we're going to try and hit it. And we're going to try and be right on pace to pay our bills. We were 3 weeks behind, and Heidi got us straight. So thank you, Heidi. And also, there you go. You can support the show with either Venmo or Cash App. Let's get started, I guess. Bill Clinton is, well, first of all, we'll talk about Hillary. So Bill and Hillary have been called to testify in front of James Comer's kangaroo court Epstein investigation that only seems to be interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton at the moment. They don't seem to really be interested in interviewing anybody close to Trump, or even, asking to speak to the president. Maybe you want to speak to the president. They really wanted to speak to Hillary, who wasn't mentioned once. They don't seem to want to mention or talk to the president, who's been mentioned. What's the number? We keep hearing these silly numbers. 37,000 times he's mentioned. I don't know what the real number is. Significant presence in the documents, you can say. Donald Trump's name was a significant presence. A consistently significant presence. He was talked about in the third person multiple times as somebody important in this little world of cliquey pedophiles. I don't know. What do you think Trump's going to do? What do you think? Well, I'll tell you, I know Donald. I mean, Epstein was responding to people's queries. People were reaching out to Epstein to ask Epstein about what he thought Trump was doing. And Epstein was answering. Now, why were these people reaching out to, hey, man, what's your boy Trump doing? Because he was his boy. Because they were boys. That's why. And we've got it all of. That's one of the most damning things in the Epstein files. That people who wanted to know what the president was doing were reaching out to Epstein because these people believed that Epstein had inside knowledge. It was not a secret that Epstein and Trump were like best friends. It's only become a question since it became politically toxic for him. And Comer trots out Hillary Clinton yesterday. We didn't get to see it. That was the thing. We're going to do these. We want full transparency. And then Hillary and Bill were like, make it public. And they're like, no. So they did it behind closed doors. And then thankfully, Hillary Clinton, how often has that ever been said? Thankfully, Hillary Clinton, she doesn't get a lot of flowers. Thankfully, Hillary Clinton, she walked out onto the steps after she testified there. By the way, they made it convenient for the Clintons. They didn't have to come to Washington, D.C. There was no big, Capitol steps clusterfuck of media nonsense. No, they made it accommodating for them. So the Clintons testified in Chappaqua, New York, where they live. We had, by the way, did you see all of the Comer's committee walking into the courthouse where they held these private depositions? I guess it's not a deposition. These private inquiries, like Chappaqua, New York's a real sort of folksy. Well, it's like one of those Hallmark movies that I told you yesterday that I sometimes fall asleep on the couch watching. Where the girl who works for the mean boss in New York goes home to her little New England town at Christmas time. That's what Chappaqua, New York is, and so all of Comer's people had to fly there. You guys see Lauren, is it Lauren? Whatever. Boebert. You see her trudging through the snow in the streets of Chappaqua with her fuck me boots and her, man, she's hot, man. She is hot. I love the Groucho glasses. She's like, that's something that I'm very attracted to. When an otherwise smoking hot chick, and she's a smoking hot chick, her body's pretty hot. Her nose could use some plastic surgery, sure. But she is rank and file. She's the hot girl that works at the Gap in your hometown. She's a hot chick. Man, she dresses good too. I love the way she dresses. She's just fucking trudging through the snow with her little fuck me boots. It was awesome. Anyway, after all this went down and we were shared a little bit of the information that Hillary testified to, which is pretty much, I don't even know the fucking guy. And you guys know I don't know the fucking guy. Talk to my husband. Or better yet, talk to Trump. That's basically what Hillary said. She then came out and she talked to the public. She stepped out onto the steps and there was a gaggle of reporters and she answered questions. And I don't really give a shit about, her answering the questions, because I had one thing that I noticed absolutely immediately. And that is this. Hold on. Okay, let me show you this. And I think this is going to make some people mad. It's going to make some people mad. Fucking Hillary Clinton looks amazing. She looks amazing. You right people are like, she can't even walk. Like, this is like 10 years ago. You're like, she can't be president because she can't even walk. You fucking people. She looks fucking good. Hillary Clinton looks better than she's ever looked. Well, I don't know what that is. Look at her. There she is. This is Hillary Clinton yesterday standing on the steps. 6 hours testifying. Look, I know a lot of you don't respect her, and I've got some very sus sort of leanings about her as a political animal that I'm not altogether comfortable with. But in your hatred of her, don't for a goddamn minute think that she ain't a pit bull. She should fucking scare the shit out of anybody, because this is the keeper of the secrets. This is the keeper of the secrets who might be at a point in her life now where she doesn't think she'll ever be anything else. She might think that her ship has sailed. Although I got to tell you, seeing her and as good as she looked and as vibrant as she looked, Hillary fucking Clinton might be a viable candidate again. That's my takeaway from this. Her speech, and you can watch it if you want, pretty fucking cool. It was no nonsense, and it was like, look, this is such bullshit. That was her tone, not her words, because she's a much more artful person than that. But I was shocked by how good she looked. She's an old woman. This is an 80-year-old woman. She looked good. All right, there you go. That was my big takeaway from Hillary. So now let's turn to Bill. Bill's there today. Bill's got some splaining. Tato, not Hillary. Bill's got some splaining. See, they had to include Hillary because at this point, Hillary is more hated by the Fox News audience than Bill is. Hillary is the one that they're afraid of. Hillary is the one that they think could rise from the fucking ashes. Hillary is the one that they need to keep in the fucking hot spotlight of criticism. And they should, because what we saw yesterday was maybe Hillary ain't done. She came out and she was like, motherfucker, that was 6 hours I'll never get back. So Bill's talking today. He issued a statement here. I'm going to read you Bill Clinton's statement that he released before he went in to testify. I'll put it up here for you so we can read along, although let's be honest, you're probably not going to be able to read it on the screen. All right, so I'll read it for you. Here. Boom. There it is. Okay. All right, let me read this for you. This is Bill Clinton's statement before testifying in front of the Comer Commission. We'll call it the Comer Kangaroo Commission. Good morning. I can't do a Bill Clinton. I used to be able to do a Bill Clinton, but honestly, all right, pulling the curtain back before the show today, I tried my old Bill Clinton, and I can't do it anymore. I don't have the Arkansas anymore. I used to have the Arkansas bit to the Bill Clinton. I used to have that. I used to have the Arkansas. I don't have it anymore. And I don't have it anymore because I think I've lived in Texas too long. So now my Bill Clinton sounds like he's from fucking Plano. And that ain't good. So I'm just going to give you a straight read here. This is President Clinton's opening statement to the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Good morning and welcome to Chappaqua. I'm here today for two reasons. The first is that I love my country, and America was built upon the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents. Democracy requires every person to play their part, and I hope that by being here today, we can bring ourselves a little further away from the brink and back to being a country where we can disagree with one another civilly, where the search for truth and justice outweighs the partisan urge to score points and create spectacle. I'll do my part, and I hope you'll do yours. Good luck with that. This is all a fucking sideshow that they don't want. They want the opposite of what you just said. The second reason I'm here, Bill Clinton continues, the second reason I'm here is that the girls and women whose lives, that should be the first, but okay. The second reason I'm here is that the girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not only justice, but healing. They've been waiting too long for both. Though my brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication of what was truly going on, I am here to offer what little I know so that it might prevent anything like this from ever happening again. Oh, eye roll. Yes, that's why you're here. You don't want to talk about this at all. You're not here. You're not doing some moral service to the rest of us, in hopes that you can prevent some horror from occurring in the future. Stop it. I hate this kind of, but this is what you pay experts to help you craft these messaging type things for. So, all right. And you got to talk about the kids. You got to talk about the kids. You got to talk about the girls. You got to talk about the girls. I would have opened with that. Although when you're Bill Clinton, maybe that was a discussion they had. Like, Bill, you're going to open with 2 reasons why you're here. What should the first be? And he probably went, probably the girls. And somebody went, yeah, that's not best for you. For you, it shouldn't be the girls first, Bill. Okay, we're gonna. He goes on to say, but before we start, I have to get personal. You made Hillary come in. She had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, nothing. She has no memory of ever even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties. Whether you subpoenaed 10 people or 10,000 people, including her, was simply not right. Good for him. Good for fucking him, man. You know, because Hillary takes a lot of shit. And obviously, you know, let's forget that it's Bill and Hillary, and let's just remember that it's 2 old people who have spent the last 60 years of their life together. They're partners. They like each other. I know that that's also another pipe dream that, you know, the right has. Oh, they hate each other. Remember that? It was years of, as soon as he's out of office, they're going to get divorced. They don't hate each other. They love each other. They might be not sexually attracted to each other in the last 50 years or so, but they love each other. They're a partnership. They support one another, even if it does mean that Hillary gets fucking pissed at him all the time. You don't think he's fucking golfing, talking about what a bitch his wife is? Come on. But that's good. I like that. I like that he took up for his wife here. Like, look, first of all, before we get started, fuck you for doing that to my wife. Fuck you. You know who wouldn't do that? Ted Cruz. We know that Ted Cruz doesn't defend his wife. Donald Trump called Ted Cruz's wife fucking fudly. He's like, yeah, hey, your wife, hey, she's a fucking pig. And Ted Cruz did nothing. Ted Cruz carries water for Trump now like he's goddamn Gunga Din. The fuck? There are lines you do not cross in civilized society. I understand that politics, you say shit, and sometimes it's just completely a lie. And you can say, well, that's a lie, and my opponent is lying. You do that, but you don't attack a wife's looks. What the fuck? See, this is just another one of those things that just, we got to get back to normal. We got to get back to normal and expecting reactions in society to be civil instead of what we are now, which is just everything is, yeah, what the fuck are you looking at, asshole? Fucking Biden supporter. All right. I want to read this again. So Bill says, before we start, I have to get personal. You made Hillary come in and she had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing. She has no memory of even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties. Whether you subpoenaed 10 people or 10,000 people, including her, wasn't right. We begin this hearing. This is Bill continuing. We begin this hearing with me raising my hand and taking an oath to tell the truth. But let's come on, Bill. Let's stop pretending like you're known as a guy who is tethered to the truth. You manipulate the truth. Dude, we all remember the Monica Lewinsky hearings. Well, that depends on what a blowjob or whatever it was. So anyway, he goes on to say, we begin this hearing with me raising my hand and taking an oath to tell the truth. But everyone has a responsibility to be honest with those they represent. Whether you raised your right hand or not, each and every one of us owes nothing less than the truth and accuracy to the American people. Okay, well said. Well said, but coming from Bill Clinton sounds very political. So he's in there. They're asking him questions. I don't know what kind of fireworks that we have today. I don't even know where we are. Maybe they broke for lunch, but I'm sure we'll be hearing all about that. All right. Bill Clinton testifies in front of the Comer Commission, the Comer Kangaroo Court, if you will. Hillary did yesterday, and Hillary's not bad. So that's the other thing about you people. Young Hillary Clinton is not bad. No one will ever give her credit. Like hippie Hillary is actually like, okay, all right, that's not bad. Now, granted, 90s First Lady Hillary was very power suit and, kind of like, PTA mom-ish. So there was nothing really sexual about that presentation of who she was. But there are pictures out there of Hillary where even Byron, I bet, has been like, okay, 1971 Hillary. All right, I might party with her, although she didn't party. You know that Bill was the one partying. She was back at the dorm studying. That's what she did. But she's looking good, man. For some, honestly, we haven't seen Hillary Clinton in years. We haven't seen her. Well, at least I haven't, because I don't watch Fox News or Newsmax. You people probably have been seeing her every fucking week. But for me, the last time I saw her, wasn't she like struggling to get into the back of an SUV when she was running for president? And I remember looking at her going, holy fuck, she does not look good. Well, here we are a bunch of years later. She's better. She's better. All right, let's talk about the Texas Senate. Let's talk about something that I've been saying for a very long time. I've been talking about how there's a vibe in Texas. And I know this because I lived there for 4 or 5 years. Recently, I just moved back here to Chicago in the last couple of months. And before that, I lived there for 15 years. So, I've spent a significant amount of time in Texas, North Texas, in my grown adult life. It is my adopted home. It is my chosen home. It is a place that I just can't be right now, but I expect to get back there as soon as possible. Okay. I've been saying for like the last 3 or 4 years, I'm like, Texas isn't all fucking Trump loving bubbas. I'm like, most of the people, and remember, I was living in Highland Park, Texas, which is very establishment GOP. It's also very John Cornyn. So although these are the super wealthy people who are going along with the MAGA because they think it'll work, but they're not really MAGA. Those people, right? Those people that I've been around, the neighbors and all of that, there's not a lot of Trump flags. You see some, because hardcore Republicanism does exist in Highland Park, Texas. But it certainly wasn't to the extent that I thought. That I was there for the election. Was I there for the election? I'm trying to remember what I was. Yeah, of course I was. Of course I was there for the election. It was just a year ago. Yes, and I remember that, and I think I commented on that. There were just as many Harris Walsh signs in Highland Park as there were Trump signs, and you people laughed at me. And I was saying, I don't know, man. I don't know that Texas is fucking Alabama. Okay, Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky, those fucking, not even Kentucky, really. Who else we talk? Florida, there you go. That's the big ones. Those states are going to be Trump forever. They're never going anywhere. But I always resisted the idea that Texas was that. I would never in a million years put Texas in league with Florida. Florida is Texas if Texas made every fucking possible mistake. Texas has just made a whole bunch of mistakes to make it a really rough place to be if you're struggling in any way. It's almost like Texas doesn't want people who are struggling. I don't know who would. Well, the United States of America, I guess. I guess that's who would like you're struggling. Bring us your tired, your huddled masses, yearning to be free. So that's what we're supposed to be. Anyway, point is this. Texas has always had Austin, right? I give Georgia credit for this too. Georgia ain't Alabama. Atlanta, any fucking state with Atlanta in it and any fucking state with Athens in it isn't fucking Alabama. And we saw what happened in Georgia. Georgia flipped blue. Now, the government, the governor's office and all that didn't. But they ran 2 blue senators, and suddenly in the Senate, Georgia is blue, which is crazy and something nobody would have ever thought. And I'm looking at Texas, and I'm like, same fucking thing. Same fucking thing. It might take a little bit longer because both senators aren't running. It wasn't like it was when it was John Osterman and what's his name? John, is it Osterman? Osterman, and then that Reverend dude. And I know that the situation has been righted since, but the point is, we can flip a seat. The opposition can flip a seat. The opposition is right now in a place in Texas where they need to be taken seriously, more seriously than they've ever been taken before. And I will tell you why that is. That is because of James Tallarico. It's not because of Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, I want to go on record right now as saying that I like her. I like her. I've got a thing for feisty black girls, right? Especially smart, feisty black girls. And I understand that her very effective branding from the right is that she isn't a feisty black girl. What she is she's just an ignorant, stupid race hustler, right? That's been the brand that she's got to wear now to the people in Balthrop County when they go there and start to vote, because they don't know who the fuck this girl from Duncanville is. That's Jasmine Crockett. I like Jasmine Crockett. I think she's fun. Seriously, I like the nails. I like the head. I like the way she fucking fights back against assholes. I don't identify with the asshole class, okay? I identify with the people who call out the assholes, and she does that. But Jasmine Crockett, I do not believe, can flip Texas blue. I think that's Tallarico, and he's the one that's doing all of the national stuff. Anyway, long story short, the Republicans, the national Republicans, are noticing. Now, maybe the Texas Republican Party isn't panicking yet. Maybe they know something. Maybe they don't. But the national Republican Party is definitely concerned. Senate Majority Leader John Thune of Texas warned that Republicans risk losing the Senate seat if the party nominates State's Attorney General Ken Paxton. Thune says, now Thune is a Cornyn ally. Cornyn's seat is the one that's up for grabs here. Thune says, honestly, if you look at the polling in a general election setting, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that the seat flips, depending on who the Democrat nominee is, Thune told the Republican. So who is that Democratic nominee going to be? It's either going to be Jasmine Crockett or the higher profile and the effectively branded as a horrible thing by the right, Jasmine Crockett, versus the relative unknown upstart who is capturing everybody's attention in James Tallarico. Now, that's what the establishment in the Republican Party is thinking about as they watch. Now, let's see what the numbers bear out. This is my guy. You know, I love my guy, Harry Enton. It's like I want to go to dinner with him in New York, and I just – hold on. Harry Enton yesterday, he's the statistics guy there for CNN. He breaks everything down, and he shows you what it means and the numbers and all that stuff. Isn't Steve Konecki, whatever the guy used to be at MSNBC that people liked? Steve Konecki or whatever. I didn't watch MSNBC. Too liberal. Look, I'm a progressive leaning moderate. But you know, I can't put up with Joy Reid, and I can't put up with too much Rachel Maddow. I just can't. Al Sharpton was a deal breaker for me. But anyway, I recognize that they got a guy over there at MSNBC or NBC News who does all the stats and all that, and he's great. CNN's version of that is Harry Enton. I actually prefer Harry Enton, maybe because I'm more familiar with him. But Harry Enton had this to say about the Texas Senate race. Let's break it down. Watch.
Until they don't like each other.
Oh, hold on. This is, by the way, it starts out with a John Cornyn came out with an attack ad against Ken Paxton, which, why is this news? Why hasn't it been nothing but attack ads against Ken Paxton? But apparently it's a particularly hard one. Ken Paxton is a criminal. I mean, you people are fools. I totally suggest that you vote for John Cornyn. Don't give Ken Paxton. Come on, man. My good, smart, Republican, conservative, morally grounded friends know what they're looking at. You are being forced in the Republican primary here in Texas between a careerist politician who is in the pocket of the big fucking corporations or an absolute motherfucking criminal. It's a lesser of two evils. You guys, but Paxton is actually fucking leading. He's leading the Republican Party. This is what concerns the Republicans in Washington. They look at this and they go, we can't have Ken Paxton, this much of an extremist, running as the Republican choice in Texas because his very presence, and I think Paxton is going to be Cornyn, but his very presence is going to create a mass turnout for blue voters in Texas. That's what Harry Enton is looking at here on CNN. Let's check out how the numbers go.
I should note we have not independently verified any of the claims you just saw there being leveled at Ken Paxton by Cornyn's campaign. Paxton himself did respond, saying when you have no record to run on, you run the campaign that he's running. He says the difference between us and our campaigns could not be any more stark. I'm running.
First of all, look at this lazy-eyed motherfucker. How, you know me, I'm the king of being able to size people up. Now, I'm not saying that this malady or handicap of a lazy eye is an indicator that you're not trustworthy. I'm just saying when everything else about you says you're not trustworthy and you have a lazy eye, not a good look. Not a good fucking look.
Because I love my family, my state, my country. And I think they deserve a far better senator than John Cornyn. Now, this comes as President Trump is involved in this, but not too involved. He is not endorsed. He is going to Texas tomorrow.
All right, you know what? I don't care about this. I just want to get to Harry Enton stuff. Here's Harry. All right, let's go. He's going to run the numbers in Texas. Let's see what's happening and why is the GOP at the national level very concerned about losing a red seat in the great state of Texas.
CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enton. Harry, I know, that was brutal. I mean, there's a lot of ugly ads out there. That one, I think, is one for the books. Can you just tell us, though, what do the numbers say about where this race stands?
Yeah, if you ever run an ad like that against me, Caitlin Collins, we are no longer
I
friends.
never would.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, there's a reason why the incumbent senator is running that type of ad, and that is because he is running scared. He's running scared because just take a look right now at the choice for Texas Senate GOP nominee. Look who's out ahead. Look who's out ahead. It's within the margin of error, but it's Ken Paxton. The incumbent John Cornyn's actually trailing at 34%. Wesley Hunt in the race as well, 26%. Now, I should note in Texas, you need 50% plus one in order to win the primary. And right now, nobody is close to a majority of the vote. That means the two top vote getters would advance to a runoff later this year. And at this point, that seems more likely than not. Of course, you want to be the ultimate top vote getter. And at this point, to me, it looks like Ken Paxton, looking at some other data as well, seems to confirm that Ken Paxton's the front runner, as well as the fact that you look at that ad, it seems to me that John Cornyn thinks that Ken Paxton is the front runner. And this, of course, worries not just John Cornyn, but establishment Republicans as well. It worries Washington Republicans. Why is that? Because looking ahead to the general election, Texas has not elected a Democratic senator since 1988, when it was Lloyd Benson who won. In fact, he was the last non-incumbent to also win, and that was in 1970. But look at the polling. Look at the polling right now. Choice for Texas Senate, Paxton versus the Dems versus Jasmine Crockett. Look at this. Paxton.
Hold on a second. So I just want to see, he's presenting. I hate this. I hate that I'm old now. He says, you know, a Democrat hasn't won a seat in Texas since 1988. I'm at the age where that doesn't seem all that long ago. I'm like, well, that's not that long ago. That's our all relative lifetime.
Ahead, but only by 2. Well within the margin of error. How about Tallarico?
All right, so this is why they're fucking panicking, because this is what the race looks like right now in Texas should Ken Paxton be the Republican nominee. Ken Paxton as the Republican nominee versus Jasmine Crockett wins by +2. Ken Paxton over Crockett. In March, we're still in the primary season. We haven't even started the general. In March, now in deep red state Texas, MAGA Texas, Paxton only beats Crockett by 2 points. Woo! He only beats Tallarico by 2 points. Now, the fact that they're both the same just shows that we're so early in the process. But this ain't good. This is not a good number for whoever the Republican is going to be going up against Jasmine Crockett or James Tallarico, because there is plenty of time to flip a 2-point deficit, especially when the 2-point deficit is well within the margin of error.
Again, Paxton ahead, but only by 2. Well within the margin of error.
Hey.
The bottom line is this. Washington Republicans fear that Ken Paxton could be the nominee because that could lead to a very competitive general election. And based on the polling data, they have a lot to be worried about, Caitlin.
Yeah, and I've been talking to White House aides about this. They're all worried about those exact numbers because, you know, each of these candidates is saying, I'm better suited to beat the Democrat in this race. The White House, I think, isn't really sure which of that's going to bear out. What does the early data say to us, though, about how Democrats are faring so far in Texas?
Okay, this is not the only good news that Democrats are looking at. This general election polling that suggests they could be quite competitive regardless who their nominee is, wins the primary next.
Regardless of who the Dems run, they are going to be competitive in the general election for the Texas Senate seat. That's crazy. Now I'm very happy because I've been fucking saying that for a year, and everybody's been like, "Nope, never gonna happen." And I'm like, "You're not talking to the same Texans that I'm talking to. There are plenty of, you know, how many friends I have in Texas who voted for Trump like 3 times. They voted for 3 times. Who will not vote for him again? It's a real thing. I've got a friend who." Look, politics is a very testy thing, and some of these people are well known in the Dallas-Fort Worth Marchplex, so I don't want to say their name but I've got a friend who is like, I was wrong. I didn't see it. And I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to, this person is particularly smart. And I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to be like way smarter than me. Why is it that I was able to see it? He's like, oh, stop being a dick about it. But that's happening a lot. A lot of people in Texas who were just without even thinking, they just vote Republican, are now looking at the combination of Abbott and Paxton and Trump and all of the fucking nonsense that's happening. And the good, decent, conservative-minded people are going, that's not what MAGA is. We're looking for an alternative. That's what's happening. That's what I've been seeing for years now in Texas. And I've been saying it, and people have been mocking me.
Next Tuesday, if in fact they're able to win without a runoff. But it's also the turnout right now in the primary. Hello, these are shocking numbers. Take a
look at these numbers. This is crazy. In 2022, at this point in the Texas midterms, at this point in 2022, Dem turnout was 38%. The GOP was 62%. Of course, this tells you that there are going to be more votes cast for the GOP than there will the Dems in Texas. That's how it looked in 2022. 62 for the GOP, for 38 to the Dems. In 2026, it's now 53% for the Dems, 47% for the and you can't say in a typical midterm, like especially during primary season of a midterm year, what you would say is, well, it's just not as competitive on one side or the other. Oh no, that is not the case. Both the Democratic primary candidates, Tallarico and Crockett, are going to war with each other. Now I want them to back off a little bit because I don't want the eventual winner to be damaged for the general, but they're very competitive, Crockett and Tallarico. And obviously, Cornyn and Paxton are competitive too. So it's not like one race has more of the public interest than the other. Both. What we're seeing here with these numbers is that the rank and file, the average person, the normal person who at one time in Texas could be counted to vote red, is now casting blue. And let's not get that twisted either. It's not, this is, I know, because so many of us look at this like a football game. My team's the blue team, your team's the red team. My team's the red team, your team's the blue team. No, this is about the opposition. This is about good people who love this country, who took a chance on a guy, and you're just wrong. Okay, that's fine. The off-ramp is there. This is the opportunity for those good people who, again, just blindly voted Republican because that's what they've always been. Now they've seen some things, and I wouldn't even say, I get uncomfortable calling Trump a Republican because he's not. He's certainly not conservative. He's not a conservative Republican, and yet he has been able to just consistently count on those voters. What we're seeing in Texas is, no, that's changing.
Look here, share of the Texas midterm primary ballots at this point pre-primary. You go back 4 years ago, there were a lot more people choosing the Republican ballot than the Democratic ballot. Look at that. 62% chose the Republican ballot compared to just 38% who chose the Democratic ballot. Now, in deep red Texas, which has not voted for a Republican presidential a Democratic presidential candidate since Jimmy Carter all the way back in 1976, look at this. Democrats are actually outvoting Republicans in deep red Texas, a state that Donald Trump won easily last time around by double digits. 53% to 47%. And I went back through the history books because I could not believe these numbers, not just compared to 4 years ago at this point, but when was the last time that Democrats actually outvoted Republicans in a midterm primary? You have to go all the way back since 2002.
See, again, I take it personal when he says all the way back to 2002. What do you mean all the way back to 2000? That's not that long ago.
Since 2002, the beginning of this century, no other primary was even close to this. So when you put together the general election polling with the primaries voting right now, you can see why Democrats are giving 2 thumbs up and Republicans are quite worried, Caleb.
All right, there you have it. That's what the Texas primary is shaping up to look like. All right, so chat room, go ahead. I know we've just been talking about your state. Let me see what some people have to say. Excuse me. Where do I start? I don't know. Sorry, let's see. All right, Barney, here's what we're looking for. Barney, who's a pandering carpetbagger that will probably end up on The View? Is that Jasmine Crockett? Is she carpetbagger? I mean, I don't think of. I thought she was from Duncanville. I thought she was from like South Dallas. I thought that was her thing. Did she come from somewhere else? So what? So, you have fucking voted for Ted Cruz 12 times. And now suddenly Barney's got a problem with carpetbagging propagandists pandering to... Oh, shut up. Maddie responds. Maddie says, look at Barney rolling out on a slur from the 19th century. What was he talking about? Is Barney talking about Jasmine Crockett? Or I don't know. Let's see here. What does Maddie say here now? Maddie says, by the way, Missouri is not the North, is it? At best, the Midwest, but largely is considered a corridor to the South. For God's sakes, are we really in North versus South? Interesting, and I'll address this. Want to know why my son's name is Mason? My son's name is Mason because his dad was born in the north of the Mason-Dixon line, and his mother was born south of the Mason-Dixon line. And we didn't want to call him Dixon. And I just thought, yeah, Mason might be all right. So we went with Mason. It wasn't going to be Dixon. No, my kid, it wasn't going to be, hey, Dix. No, I wasn't going to saddle him with that. But to Maddie's point, the Mason-Dixon line runs right through like Missouri there. So Missouri is, look, for someone in Illinois, for someone from Northern Illinois, Missouri is absolutely considered the start of the South. That's where it begins. Come on, Missouri is like surrounded by Arkansas, and it's Missouri. Anyway, I don't know what that's about, but yeah, just a little fun fact about my kid's name. It was a play on the whole Mason-Dixon thing. His mom, born in St. Louis, his dad, born in Chicago. North, South, that whole thing. Let's see. What else do we have? Byron's always good. Let's see what Byron has to say. Byron's, there is more truth in a picture of my crotch than aired on CNN. See, now this is a problem because those were numbers. And Byron, those are numbers that are readily available. I would suggest you go to Real Clear Politics or any of the other well-noted polling places. I understand that you're one of those people that probably don't believe in polls. That happened. Do you remember how this whole thing started? People were always suspect of polls simply because when the candidate that they wanted to be winning wasn't, that candidate would get up and say things like, the polls, they're not trustworthy. The polls are very fucking trustworthy. The big argument that I love about the polls is when people say, well, what about when Trump beat Hillary? Everybody said Hillary was going to win. She was the projected winner. And Trump beat Hillary by what? 4 or 3 points or something? Heading into Election Day, that race was within the margin of error. The polls, as they regard Hillary versus Trump in that first election, were dead fucking accurate. And yet the narrative, because of social media and the right-wing media, the narrative was that, say you can't trust polls because they all said Hillary would win. Yeah, they did. They said Hillary would win within the margin of error. And guess what? There was a margin of error involved in the difference between the amount of votes Hillary got and the amount of votes that Trump got. And it turned out that within the margin of error, Trump won. The polls were fucking deadly accurate. So, I don't know. Byron's like, I don't like numbers. They confuse me. Barney says, in common modern use, carpetbagger refers to a candidate running in an area they are not connected to. Yeah, I got to side with Barney here, Maddie. Carpetbaggers used all the time. I'm very familiar with the term because I'm from Chicago and I moved to Texas. And in the early days, people were like, we don't need you, carpetbagger. And I'm like, carpet fucking bagger. By the way, the biggest and best known carpetbagger who Barney hates is fucking Donald Trump. But he's literally the definition of what a carpetbagger is. The fast-talking businessman from the big city up north comes down with his covered wagon of elixirs and medicinal potions to sell to you, the good folks of rural America. That's exactly what fucking happened, guy. So, Barney, I would dial back on being against, at least publicly, people that are carpetbaggers, because you seem to have no problem with Trump or Ted Cruz. Boom. I win. Byron leaning into it. They will cry foul when blown out again. All right. Look, I like the optimism, my guy. I mean, look, we gotta. Nice to see you're open-minded, though. And it's nice to see that Byron still is I love Byron, but he's still radicalized to the point where he thinks Trump is a good man, which is, and Byron's smart. Byron's smart on like just about everything else. Like if you have a conversation with Byron, he's funny, he's quick, he knows shit. But this Come on, guys. Come on, guys. It's all right. It's all right. We can play this game. I'm still going to love you. That's my whole vibe here. We can all get along. We don't all have to ban each other from our Thanksgiving dinner tables. All right, let's go on to the next story. All right, let's see. That's enough. That's enough. We don't need to get more into that. All right, so here's what I want to talk about here. I want to talk about the Netflix situation with Paramount and Skydance and how that's going to acquire and why that is a fucking horrible thing. We got an update on Savannah Guthrie. We're going to talk about Trump and Mendami, and then we're going to go into some Twitter pedo traps. Also, Vanessa Bryant. You can see we've got a lot more to do on this Friday show, so I need a drink of hot coffee. I'm going to refill my coffee, and then I'm going to go to the bathroom. And we'll be right back after this. Okay, guys, more show coming up. One more time, though, before I do, let's thank our executive producer. She's the executive producer for the remainder of the month. I believe this is the final day. Thank you so much to Heidi, who saved the month for all of us. She tipped an amount of money that just got us to where we need to be. Now, on Monday, we're going to be looking for new executive producers. On Monday, we are going to start our fundraising for the next month of shows. We're doing it a little bit earlier, but that's because I just can't be behind. I just can't be behind. It was hard playing catch up financially after the move and then Christmas. And so, you can imagine a guy who relies on this and very little else to, support himself. Actually, I don't rely on this at all to support myself, if I'm being honest. This is just in addition to. Point is this: tip the show if you can, help us out. Heidi, thank you so much. Everybody, always keep a good thought in your heart for Heidi because, man, I'm telling you, I keep going back to the day that she tipped. I had just gotten absolutely horrible news, and I was sitting in my car, and I was, on my way someplace I did not want to be going to, and like I get this alert, and it says a Venmo thing, and I hit it, and it just, goddamn, man. I mean, she has no idea of what, and I hope that wasn't a big struggle for her to do that, but she just has no idea the timing of that. And people are great. Life is great, right? Those moments are great. How many more of those do you have in your future? There's a reason to live. All right, I'm going to take a break here. We'll come right back. I'm going to get some hot coffee. We got more Rant coming up. Please support the show if you can, or if you'd like, maybe follow us and check us out on Twitter and all that good stuff. Back after this. Give me 5 minutes on this one because I don't need to go into details. All right. We are back. Hi, everybody. Thank you for that. It took a little bit longer. I had to brew a new cup of coffee. I didn't know I'd need to brew a new pot, but here we are. So I've been concerned lately about the amount of caffeine that I take in. I need to drink more water. I think we all probably need to drink more water, but I kind of like that. I told you I have this addiction to generic Coke Zero, and I'm drinking about a 2-liter bottle of that every day and a half. Yeah, I lied the other day. I said, I drink like a 2-liter bottle every 2-3 days. Nah, that's like a day and a half. I'm drinking way too much of it. I need to start drinking water. So what I did was, and I drink, so that's all, Coke Zero. I think there's caffeine in it, right? I guess, right? Zero is 0 calories. Anyway, so I drink that all day long, and then I drink like coffee until like 3:00 in the afternoon. And I was concerned about the amount of caffeine that I was taking in. So I've downgraded my generic Coke Zero to now generic caffeine-free Coke Zero. And guess what? Now I'm just drinking like twice as much coffee. So I don't know what's going on. I do have breaking news, though. Breaking news. As I was in the other room listening to Chicago Sports Radio as it's playing in the other room, there was just we've got news. We've got breaking Max Crosby news. Wait, hold on. Let me see if this is being reported anywhere else. They just said it. All right. No great Bears exploring Max Crosby trade. Blah, blah, blah. Chicago Bears likely to pursue. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So anyway, here's the news. All right. So I was just in the other room brewing my cup of coffee. We were talking earlier today about the different trade scenarios for my Chicago Bears to acquire who we believe is our ticket to the Super Bowl. Just an absolutely beast of a defensive end. It's not even a position anymore in football, defensive end. I know we call them edges. I mean, there's not even a will linebacker anymore, right? I mean, we change, whatever. Bears are trying to acquire him. They were just talking to, in the other room, I was listening, they were talking to a Las Vegas Raiders reporter from Las Vegas newspaper or whatever out there. And he said two things that are very interesting that all of us Chicago Bear fans need to be very excited about. And that is, he said, one, the Las Vegas Raiders are absolutely willing to deal Max Crosby before the draft. Hell, they're willing to deal him as soon as possible if it can increase their draft capital. And, they've got a whole new thing going on over there in Las Vegas. Max Crosby is 31 years old. He wants to win. He doesn't want to be a part of another rebuild with a new quarterback and a new coach, right? He doesn't want that. He's coming off injuries. He wants to win. So here's the big breaking news. The Raiders are, as confirmed by a Raiders beat reporter, the Raiders are interested in talking to people about the Max Crosby deal. And the second piece of breaking news, which I think was most important, and that is, this was, he said, confirmed through a conversation that he had earlier this morning. And I can only imagine, because, you don't give out the sources, but this sounds like something that would have come from Max Crosby's agent at the Combine. So it was just reported. The second thing that the Raiders, one, they're willing to deal Max Crosby. The second thing is that the Raiders are working with Max Crosby's representation to, one, he will not be dealt inside the AFC. All right, that's what they agree on, Max Crosby's representation and the Raiders. Raiders are not going to deal him inside the AFC, which is their own division, which is, smart. Cowboys didn't do that. The Cowboys traded their superstar to somebody that can come back and wreck shop in the playoffs should the Cowboys ever get there again. So, but they got a haul. That's the other side of it. They didn't get a haul. Raiders aren't going to get that much of a haul, especially if they have stipulations about where they're going to send them. Like I imagine the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills would certainly like to get their hands on Max Crosby, right? But no, that's apparently off the table. The other part that was broken today about the Max Crosby deal. One, the Raiders are absolutely listening to offers and interested in the idea of clearing the deck of Max Crosby and starting again fresh. The second thing is that the Raiders are working with Max's agent to facilitate this deal. And one of the stipulations is that Max has to be dealt outside the AFC. Good for the Bears. That's good for us. Now, here's the thing that's really good for the Bears, because as I told you just a couple of weeks ago, there was a Love Fest podcast hosted by Max Crosby where his guest was Caleb Williams, and they were all over each other. I mean, just get a room, you two. And then last weekend, Max Crosby flies into Chicago's O'Hare Airport and is picked up personally by Caleb Williams. They didn't send an Uber driver or a chauffeur with a sign. Caleb fucking went to the airport, walked through O'Hare. That's how we know, because there's pictures and shit. And, got Max Crosby. So here's why it's interesting, because the last part of this deal is that in addition to the agreement between Max's agents and the Raiders, they will not be dealt inside the AFC. The other thing is they all agree to work on sending Max to an NFC team that he wants to play for. He's coming to the Bears, man. I'm telling you, the Bears are going to get Max Crosby. Very excited. All right, now let's move on to some real stuff, because we don't do sports talk here, even though I would be the greatest sports talk host in America. Fucking Colin Cowherd. You ever listen to him? You know who I couldn't be better than? You know who's better than me? Rich Eisen. God, he's so good. I just love Rich Eisen's whole vibe. As far as like being a sports talker, Eisen is the coolest man. Cowherd's a fool. All the other ones are fools. I'm better than all of them, except Eisen. Not better than Eisen. Eisen's great. All right, what were we going to talk about here? Well, real quick, why don't we just start off with this? So Tucker Carlson's got a plan for the Jews. Any Jews out there? Where's my Jew friends? Yeah. Tucker's got a plan for you. I don't know. Can we fucking leave the Jews alone, man? I mean, I understand that, we can't say, let's stop talking about the Jews as a monolithic group. We can't say that because Israel exists, right? And so the Jews are not just an ethnic group. They're also a nation state. So it's not like Tucker saying Tucker's got a plan for the blacks, but because of the history of the Jews and the persecutions and all that, it just always rings so difficult when you hear somebody say, I got a plan for the Jews. The other day, I told you about Tucker Carlson's mishap, should we call it? Misunderstanding at the Israeli airport, where Tucker claimed that he was being persecuted for his pro-Palestinian views. Yeah, you heard that right. Did you just wake up from a coma? Tucker's now pro-Palestinian. Okay. I mean, so am I to a degree, right? I mean, but I didn't expect Tucker to suddenly come over to this side. Anyway, Tucker's taking a lot of heat for this. He's Ben Shapiro. Boy, he doesn't like what Tucker's doing. Everybody's mad at Tucker, although Tucker's numbers are, I guess, doing fine. So he staged kind of a stunt at the Israeli airport last week. I told you all about it. He pretended like he was being persecuted by Israeli authorities because of his takes on the Palestinian-Israeli thing. And it turns out that it wasn't that at all, because there's video of it and there's pictures of it, and Tucker was laughing, and Tucker took pictures with the security guards. And then as soon as he was done laughing and smiling and taking pictures with the security guards, he hit Twitter with, I was just attacked inside. So, credibility be damned. It's Tucker Carlson we're talking about. Anybody who thinks Tucker Carlson has any anchored principle or has any actual worldview other than what is best for Tucker Carlson in the moment is somebody who forgets bow-tied Tucker Carlson, who was on MSNBC as a liberal for about 5 years. Yeah, you guys forget about him because as soon as they fired him, he went over to Fox, and suddenly he went, I got to be what Fox wants now? Okay, and that exploded for him. And now Tucker's Mr. Conservative. But yeah, I remember bow-tie dork Tucker, the liberal pussy, over on MSNBC. He was doing the bow tie. Remember, this is my thing. And, we were going to talk about it yesterday, and we may still today. One of the problems with the branding of the right versus the left, one of the problems with left branding, as somebody who is more left than right, who's a guy, a heterosexual, straight, middle-aged white guy, there's not a whole lot being offered by the Democrats as far as dudes that I want to have a beer with. And I know that sounds like something that we hate to say in politics because it is so fucking redundant and easy button. Just vote for the guy you want to have a beer with. Well, quite frankly, I'd want to have a beer with Trump, except he doesn't drink beer. That's another red flag. Trump's the blue-collar billionaire. Dude doesn't even fucking drink beer, man. Come on. Anyway, the branding of the blue male, the Democratic male, is so effective. They're pussies. They're all pussies. They're just they wear sweater vests, and they don't get angry. They're in complete control of their emotions, which is probably where we as human beings are supposed to be evolving to, and maybe they're just a little bit ahead of us. But that's not what gets fucking votes, and that's the problem right now. Right now in 2026, the opposition has to get fucking votes. All right. Back to Tucker. See, that's what happens with a rant. After Tucker, or back to Tucker. So the Israeli thing is the reason he was in Israel was because he was sitting down to talk with Mike Huckabee, who is the Israeli American ambassador to Israel. Huckabee. Boy, his daughter got sidelined, right? His daughter is, I know she's the governor of Arkansas, but I thought that with the second Trump term, that's Sarah Huckabee Sanders or whatever her name is, I thought that she would be elevated to a much more prominent position as one of the nation's governors, but she's really not. She's really kind of been, anyway, her dad, Mike Huckabee, he's the ambassador to Israel, and he sat down with Tucker Carlson and they had a conversation about the Israeli Palestine situation and all that kind of stuff. And Tucker floated a plan. Tucker's got a plan for the Jews. Here's what he said. Tell me how you think this will go over. And again, leave the Jews alone. Just don't say this. Although he said it, and look at me, Mr. Random middle-aged man screaming at clouds on his front lawn every day at noon for 5 years. I'm talking about it. So, he says it. He gets the attention for it. I'm not the only one talking about it. I mean, I found it somewhere. So here's what Tucker offered up to Mike Huckabee, the ambassador to Israel. During Tucker Carlson's interview last week with Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, both men made considerable waves with their takes on history and theology. Well, I hope that they recognize that history and theology are two completely different things, because I know a lot of Christians who don't. I believe there's a museum in like fucking Knoxville where you see people riding dinosaurs. Jesus had a dinosaur pet, according to these fucking people. During Tucker Carlson's interview last week with Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, both men made considerable waves with their takes on history and theology. Huckabee sparked the diplomatic row by citing the Bible to argue that Israel had a divine right to claim all of the Middle East, even though he didn't back doing so politically. So I guess, he didn't used to believe that, but now that he's the ambassador to Israel, Huckabee believes that. All right, very good. Whatever. Hey, I don't call people flip-floppers. I leave open the window for, people who believe one thing one day, get new information on the subject, and then the next day they're like, yeah, I was wrong. I think that's good and it should be applauded. This seems like a little bit politically advantageous for him. It seems like he made this change for reasons other than learning something new, but whatever. Okay, that's fine. But Carlson, what did Carlson do? Because that's what we're talking about. What did Tucker do? Tucker Carlson's own interpretation of Israel's sovereignty was also notable, as the far-right pundit insisted that Israel should undergo... Here we go. This is it. Tucker thinks that everyone in Israel should have to undergo genetic testing to determine if they are actually a descendant of Abraham and have a rightful claim to the land. That's what Tucker wants. Tucker wants all the Jews in Israel to be genetically tested. Here's what he said on it. Here's a quote, direct quote. Why don't we do genetic testing on everybody in the land and find out who Abram's descendants actually are? Carlson asked Huckabee at one point, using the name Abraham used before he made a covenant with God to become the first Jew. Tucker goes on to say, it's really simple. We've cracked the human genome. We can do that. Why don't we do that? Why don't we just genetically test every citizen of Israel? Are we talking forcibly? What if they don't want to be genetically tested? Are you going to force them? This is who Tucker Carlson is. Sticks a needle in the arm, Jew. It's just so fucking weird. It's so weird that people are comfortable talking in ways that are obviously incorrect. Fucking leave the Jews alone, Tucker. All right, let's get into the Paramount situation because this is something that's got a lot of people freaking out. Now, earlier today, I shared something from CNN, Harry Enton, and Byron was like, CNN, you're wrong. You're right. You're just wrong. CNN isn't perfect, but CNN is far better than the other two cable news options because the other two cable news options are decidedly on one side or the other. And the problem with CNN is from its beginning, CNN has always tried to be somewhere in the middle. But when you are in the middle in an environment where there is a loud guy on the right and a loud guy on the left, the guy that's trying both sides gets incoming from both sides. To all the liberals who watch MSNBC, CNN does nothing but coddle and carry water for the right. To all the people who watch Fox News, they hear CNN does nothing but coddle and carry water for the left. CNN can't win. So, Byron, I know that you get all of your news from the right, so you've got that programming. But the fact of the matter is that on the par, CNN is far more reliable than both MSNBC or MS Now or Fox News. It just is because they don't fly their agenda so fucking in your face. And there is an attempt by some of these people. Now here's the other thing that's the problem with journalists in general. And I'm sorry, but this has to be said, and it's going to affect a lot of fucking people who ain't never done nothing and ain't never been nowhere, okay? But the fact of the matter is that journalists do tend to be more liberal, if you will. They tend to be more open-minded and interested in other people's points of view. That is one of the job requirements of being a fucking journalist. So when you look at everybody in journalists and go, well, they're a little bit too liberal to me, that's because they've been places, dude. That's because they've talked to people, dude. And that's because you've never fucking left Frisco in your life. That's why journalists tend to be a little bit more worldly and understand complex things that other cultures might be experiencing. That's what they fucking do, man. And it doesn't make them the crazy libtard on the West Coast with the pink hair and the fucking spike through their nose who's trying to blow up a Tesla dealership. That doesn't make them that. It just makes them people who have world experiences that the rest of us don't, and they are funneling all of their reporting through the prism of those experiences. That's what journalism is, motherfuckers! It's not a bunch of dumb fucks who are fucking on Twitter going, well, I think CNN's a bunch of stupid liberals. They're smart. They've seen things. They've done things. They've had experiences. And the way you process all that is that they're fucking liberals. Well, guess what? Everybody in journalism is then. Stop with these journalistic litmus tests, these purity tests. People who have experiences that you don't very well may have opinions that differ from yours. It's not because they're evil. It's because you ain't never done nothing. You never met nobody. You never talked to anybody who's been through something because you're just a dude and you fucking hate that this chick who's been through 3 wars in the Middle East is telling you that maybe the Israelis are doing something wrong here. You don't want to hear it because that's not what your talk radio guy tells you to believe, right? That was good. That was a good rant. I like that one. That got me going. All right. So how come he wants all the Jews tested? All right. Let's keep going. Let's see. What is the next thing we want to get into here? Ooh. Okay. Well, here's some sad news. Well, I don't know if it's sad news. Some Savannah Guthrie update here. Savannah Guthrie and something we talked about last week because the story that leaked last week was that Savannah Guthrie may never return to the Today Show, that she was having sort of a crisis and she just thought that, why? I don't need it. I don't want to put myself in that position. And I completely understood that. I mean, I think I said very early on in this terrible Savannah Guthrie situation, I said, how does she go back on TV? And there is a cruel and cold way of looking at that. And it's the way that television programmers and advertising salespeople and people who advertise on TV will look at it. And that is Savannah Guthrie's going to bum people out. That's terrible to say, right? But that's the business of broadcast media. Savannah Guthrie got that job because she definitely didn't bum people out. Savannah Guthrie was beautiful and cheerful and she seemed smart and she just beamed joy and optimism. That was her whole hook. That big, giant, toothy smile. Now, every time we see it, we're going to be reminded of her mom. And that, to the average listener, is not something that's controllable. That is a reflex. That is compassion. That is emotion. So how long is it going to take the audience of the Today Show? Like, at first, she comes back. If Savannah Guthrie comes back, it's going to be the largest audience in the history of the Today Show. It's going to be massive. But what's it going to be 10 days later? 10 days later, is it still going to be, or are they going to start to see a decline? Are they going to start to see Good Morning America rise up or whatever? I don't even know what the real horse race is there with morning news, but I think that's a real problem, and I imagine that it is being discussed at the highest levels of NBC. People feel bad for Savannah Guthrie, and do we want to start America's day with somebody that they're going to feel bad for? Savannah Guthrie is saying she wants to come back. I think it ought to be completely up to her, but that doesn't change the fact that there are some business considerations in bringing her back that, I don't know. Okay. So again, cold calculating. I'm a business guy. I make a lot of money. I run the news department there Today or NBC or whatever. No, here's a better comp. I'm the executive producer of Today. I'm the executive producer of the Today Show. We've brought Hoda Kotb back. Numbers are good. The Today Show numbers, because I looked at that before I wrote this rant. The numbers for the Today Show have sustained and gone up a little bit, obviously, because of the Savannah Guthrie interest. People are tuning in now to it more than ever because they think that they're going to have the most breaking or recent information on it. But if I'm the executive producer of the Today Show and Savannah's coming back, I probably love Savannah because I imagine everybody there loves Savannah, but I also have to be very critical and practical when it comes to my own career. And am I about to be the executive producer of the decline of the Today Show? And is that decline something that we can stave off? Like, do we know why that decline that we're fearing might come is coming? Yeah, it's because of what I just said. I think that Savannah Guthrie is going to bump people out. In other news, and it kills me. You want to know how you fix it? You want to know how you fix Savannah Guthrie? And this is how we can all love Savannah Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie no longer has morning show vibes. Savannah Guthrie has late night vibes. Yeah. Give Savannah Guthrie that show we used to give. Remember when America had a lottery and just randomly all of us got a chance to host that Bob Costas show that was on after Letterman? Remember Carson Daly hosted it forever, but then it was just like your neighbor. It's like, hey, my neighbor is talking to Dustin Hoffman on NBC. What's that about? Hey, bring that show back. What was it called? Was it called Tomorrow? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You remember there was a zombie late night show on NBC that ran forever. It began with Bob Costas and it was very good. But then Bob Costas left and then it was Carson Daly and then it was just everybody. It was your neighbor. I never got a chance to host it. I believe Kelly did. I believe Kelly hosted a couple times. My number never got pulled in the lottery. Bring that show back. Let Savannah Guthrie sit there at midnight and talk to people. She's going to have midnight energy. She's going to, it's just, and this is how we can keep her employed. We can show her that we love her. But man, quite frankly, I don't know that Savannah Guthrie has morning show vibes anymore. The FBI is also pulled out. The FBI has released the home back to the family. The home has been certainly, the focus of the investigation. 3 weeks now, or is it 4 weeks now? I don't even know where we are. Family can have the house back. The FBI has cut their investigative forces there on the ground in Tucson by half. They've pulled everybody out. They are slow rolling us with the unfortunate reality that Nancy Guthrie is gone and we may never find the body. Now we're looking for the body. What do we want to find more? Do we want to find the body or the kidnappers? I think for us, we want to find the kidnappers, right? I mean, for the family, they might want the body, but we want to find the kidnappers. Maybe the kidnappers lead us to the body, whatever, but we want to know who these people are. We need to know what the fudge happened here. All right, that's our Savannah Guthrie update. All right, what else are we going to get into? Okay. All right, we'll do this if we have to. Is there something else we can do? Because I was... Oh, you know what? Wasn't that whole thing about the Netflix deal? Okay, so Netflix has... Jesus, now I got to do this. All right. This is a really big news. This again concerns CNN. This is why I went on that CNN rant. I'm sorry, I got lost. If I paid attention to the chat room, I'm sure there's people in there being shepherds going, hey, Pugs, get back on point. If you want to do that every now and again, that'd be good because I'll rely on that now as a tool. So we've been following here the acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers Discovery is one of the largest media things in the world, and they're up for sale. They put on their best dress and they're strutting the catwalk and they're saying, who wants a piece of us? Warner Brothers Discovery, and they drew the attention initially of Paramount. Paramount gobbling everything up. They got that Taylor Sheridan money. They got that. And then Paramount merged with Skydance. Skydance, which is a big Hollywood film company. Skydance is the company owned by Skippy Ellison. Let's call him Skippy. He's Larry Ellison's Larry Ellison, the multi-billion, super billionaire Larry Ellison. He's Larry Ellison's little boy. That's right, a little rich kid. So he makes movies, which is that's the thing I would do. Like, it's like, oh, what if I win the jackpot lotto this week and I win like, $800 million? I'm moving to Hollywood. I'm being a producer. That's what I'm doing. And that's what a lot of rich kids, like if you got a billionaire dad and you're like a ne'er-do-well kid, you go to Hollywood and your dad stakes you and you start a movie company. You make movies and you party with starlets and you become Skippy Ellison, who is now looking to purchase Warner Brothers Discovery. All right. So you got Skydance, Paramount. They're now pretty tough. They got the Ellison money. Just so you know, they got the Taylor Sheridan money, which is a joke because the Taylor Sheridan money is nothing compared to the Ellison money. Oracle. It's the company Oracle. It's all this money. Paramount also owns CBS. Now, you may recall that CBS 60 Minutes aired a episode a couple of years back about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump didn't like the CBS episode about Donald Trump, so Donald Trump sued CBS for $100 million, some crazy amount of money. Trump, it was a nuisance, stupid lawsuit that had it matriculated through the courts, would have been thrown out multiple times before it exhausted all the avenues and just went away. That's what the stupid suit that Trump brought against CBS News was. Which is why the whole world got shocked when new CBS owner Skippy Ellison, who owns CBS now as a part of the Paramount acquisition, he basically just settled the suit with Trump. He gave Trump a settlement amount. Like, why? Everybody's like, why the fuck would he do that? He was going to win in court. Why did they just give Trump? Trump shouldn't get a fucking new. This is like, you get mad at people when they trip over their own shoelace in front of a fucking mom and pop place and they decide to sue the mom and pop place. And you're like, fuck that guy. That's what this is. This was a fuck that guy case. And CBS, or Larry Ellison's kid Skippy, for some reason settled with Trump. And everybody went, what? Well, what wasn't revealed at the time was that Paramount Skydance was also, looking at Warner Brothers Discovery. Remember, Skydance was a movie company and they went and saw Paramount, so they bought Paramount. Paramount has CBS. CBS was at war with Trump, but they also, Skydance, Paramount, want Warner Brothers Discovery, which is now suddenly on the auction, walking the catwalk looking all hot. But in order for them to be able to acquire this, they're going to need the backing of Trump's FCC. Because at this point, the Ellisons are starting to control a whole bunch of shit. They're controlling CBS News. And remember, under Larry Ellison or under Skippy Ellison, CBS News apologized to Trump and settled the lawsuit when they shouldn't have, but they did. Well, they did that because they knew they wanted to be in Trump's good favor because he wanted their approval for them now buying Warner Brothers Discovery. And that was the way it was looking. We were all like, holy shit. The guy that has brought CBS News, Walter Cronkite's news, Walter Cronkite's legacy, the guy who brought Walter Cronkite's legacy to its knees, sucking the dick of the president, is now looking to also acquire the president's number one hated rival, CNN, lying CNN, because that's what you get when you buy Warner Brothers Discovery. So Larry Ellison's kid, Skippy, he wants to own both CBS News and CNN. And it looked like that's where it was going. But then out of nowhere, we had a white knight riding in. Dun-dun-dun, 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 dun-dun-dun. Somebody who isn't in Trump's pocket at all. At least we didn't think he was. Somebody that could now own and operate CNN, allowing them to continue to go on independently without massive overreach from governmental authorities like we're seeing happening at CBS. Now, I know. You're like, Pugs, what do you mean governmental authority and overreach with CBS? All right, that's a bit much, I know. But what is happening at CBS News is that they are coddling the White House. They are doing whatever they want, from canceling 60 Minutes pieces on El Salvadorian prisons where ICE was sending people to stifling interviews that have been recorded and scheduled to go with people who were Trump critics. That's what CBS News now under Skippy Ellison is doing. And the fear is as soon as they take over CNN, it's going to be the same fucking thing. But Ted Sarandos and Netflix were riding to the rescue, and they outbid Paramount Skydance, and Warner Brothers Discovery's board approved that. They were going to Netflix. We weren't going to have to worry about Skippy Ellison controlling 50% of the fucking media in this country. No, because we had now an independent operator. The Netflix guy was going to come in. He gave a better deal. The board approved it. Done deal. Mr. President, sign off. Nope. The fucking president of the United States, because he couldn't control Netflix the way he seems to be able to control Paramount Skydance, said, hold on, we've got problems here. The business president standing in the way of business. If a Democrat had done this, do you have any idea how insane the right would have gone? So here's what happened next. So Netflix had the best bid. The Warner Brothers Discovery Board decided they wanted to sell to Netflix and not Paramount Skydance. Trump got involved. Trump yesterday calls Ted Sarando, whatever his name is, Sarandins. He's the guy who runs Netflix. Trump calls him to the White House yesterday. And he has a meeting with him. This is exactly how it went down. The guy who runs Netflix, who the Warner Brothers Discovery Board said, we want to sell to you, was summoned to the White House by President Trump yesterday to discuss the deal. And then when the meeting was over with President Trump, Ted Sarandos was then brought into a meeting that was not scheduled, that he didn't know was going to go on, with Trump's FCC chairman and some other SEC regulators, because as apparently, and then the White House put this out. By the way, this is from the White House. The White House put this out. It's like they want you to know how they're muscling people to get what they want. The White House said that after the meeting with President Trump, Ted Sarandos was brought into a regulatory meeting with the FCC and the SEC, previously unscheduled, but they had him here, so why not get him? And they threatened him. Now, that wasn't reported, and Ted Sarandos isn't saying it, but they threatened him. They threatened Netflix with whatever the FCC or the SEC could possibly threaten Netflix with. Monopoly and all of that kind of stuff. So that was the guy, Netflix, who was getting ready to acquire, who had given the best bid to shareholders. He was going to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery. And while he's in these FCC regulatory meetings, because remember, he just walked out of a meeting with Trump. You goddamn know Trump picked up the phone, called Skippy Ellison, and said, hey, look, I got him twisted. He's going in with an FCC regulation now. Why don't you just up your offer? Make an offer that's just a little bit better than theirs, and he'll be forced to back out. And that's what happened. And Netflix is out. Ted Sarandos walked into the White House yesterday willing to explain how he was going to do this, and everything was fine, and he walked out and announced that Netflix was out after being threatened with FCC and SEC regulators, and after being, for some reason, out of nowhere, Paramount Skydance upped their offer at this exact moment. Now, are you telling me that someone in the Trump's White House didn't call somebody at Paramount Skydance and say, right now, we got him on the ropes, make a better offer, and the deal is yours? That's exactly what fucking happened. Here's what Sarandos said about it. Here was the only statement that we have from the Netflix people. Ellisons are appeasing Trump with CBS changes, blah, blah, blah. Trump called to Netflix. Well, hold on, I'm trying to read this. The White House threatened Netflix with regulations. They threatened an inquiry of Netflix as a monopoly. After the meeting, Netflix dropped their bid, saying this. Here's the quote now from Netflix. This transaction was always a nice to have at the right price, not a must have at any price. Well, they had the price, and then they didn't have the price. And now Skippy Ellison and the dirty, corrupt Larry Ellison Oracle 1% Illuminati fucking money is now controlling CBS News and very shortly CNN. So CNN is done. It's done. It's absolutely done. If they do to CNN what they have done to CBS News, which if you're following the CBS, and look, I know I'm a media geek, so I follow these things probably more than the regular people, but what Barry Weiss, who is completely unqualified for the job of running Walter Cronkite's news organization, when Barry Weiss implements the kind of changes that she does that are so obviously designed to please the White House, we have lost a free press in this country. And you combine that with the fact that we have no real information coming to us in non-traditional places like Twitter and Facebook and all that. That's all fucking lies. We are lost as a country as far as somebody that we can look to and go, I trust that person to tell me the truth, because that ain't happening anymore. It ain't happening anywhere else. I don't know what's going on with News Nation. They're kind of okay, although I hate that Leland Vitter. Oh my God, that Leland Vitter guy. He's like, there's something wrong with him. I don't know what his story is. There's something wrong with him. He's not normal. He looks like the kid that ate paste in fucking school. And he talks and acts and behaves and responds. I don't know what his deal is, but that Leland Vitter on News Nation is not good. Digging Cuomo. I dig Cuomo with Bill O'Reilly. That's some fucking good TV. That's fun. Chris Cuomo and Bill O'Reilly, that's good. Anyway, News Nation is doing a lot of good things, but I still don't know that we can hang our hats on them. They seem at this point just be trying to make as much money play in the middle. So, all right, that's maybe what we need. So there you go. That's the Netflix story. All right, now let's talk about Trump and Mandami. What's going on with this, you guys? What is the deal with Donald Trump and the communist, Stalinist mayor of New York City? This just shows how little respect Donald Trump has for you, the brainless MAGA. At every turn, he's like, this guy's the worst. He's evil. They should be throwing him in jail. He's a communist. At every turn, when he's talking to the fucking hillbilly in the red hat, that's what he's saying. And this ain't just business. Well, I mean, business has a lot to do with it. Let's not kid ourselves. But it ain't just like, well, Pugs, you don't understand how people do. I do understand how people do business, okay? This ain't just business. Trump fucking likes Mandami. Trump fucking likes this guy to the extent that there are people wondering, what the fuck does Mandami have on Trump? What is this? What is going on here that Donald Trump seems to be thrilled every time the communist mayor of New York? Remember, Trump loves New York. Trump should absolutely hate this for New York, but apparently he fucking loves it. Mandami is the Trump whisperer. That's how good Mandami is. And I don't know anything about this guy, right? The only thing, this is why I say branding is so important. I don't live in New York. I don't know who this guy is. This guy popped up on my radar like 6 months ago. All of a sudden, everybody's talking, and it's the same for you. And stop acting like, Byron or Barney or Adam or whatever. No, I've been following the track of the up-and-coming candidates for mayoral office in New York since 2015. No, you haven't. Nobody ever heard of this fucking guy. But he was branded immediately. Communist, Stalinist. And then he fucking wins. Like, he wins big. Like, whatever his messaging was, and we didn't get his messaging at the national level, but whatever his messaging was local to the people who voted in those elections, it resonated and it worked. And that should scare the fuck out of Trump, because he's the exact opposite of Trump. And yet, for some reason, Trump fucking loves, what's his name? I don't even know his name. Moran Mandami. I just know that he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. And by the way, I don't really believe that. My point is, regular guy, I just know that Mandami's a bad guy. Here's what I know. I hear the name Mandami, I go, I hear the name Ocasio-Cortez, I go, I hear the name Boebert, I go, right? I hear the name Marjorie Taylor Greene, I go, Some of these people have been branded effectively so that they are absolutely useless now. They did that to Mandami, and I wonder why they went so hard on a guy running for mayor of New York. I think it's probably because they were afraid of what comes next for him. They were afraid that maybe he is an electric politician who can fucking win anybody over, because Trump fucking loves him. Let's get into this story a little bit. We've got some bizarre ass pictures here. This is like a fiddle. It says here. It's New York Post. This is a Trump friendly. This is a pro-Trump report. Like a fiddle. Mandami stuns with image of ecstatic Trump from their meeting. Trump fucking loves this guy. And we'll show some of these pictures because they're kind of cute, man. You know, it's like, you know, my feelings on Trump are pretty well stated. I think that he's a bad guy. I think he's horrible for this country. I think he's actively trying to destroy this country for his own benefit. And when this is all over, we're all going to realize this. And some of you are just fucking going to have to accept back into civilized society. But, you know, we'll see. It's settling. But he doesn't. It doesn't matter. All right, let's just get into the story. All right, New York City Mayor Zoran, that's what it is. Don't mess with the Zoran. New York City Mayor, and again, I don't know anything about this guy. I don't care about this guy. He's the mayor of New York. He's not my guy. Fuck whatever. You call him a communist. I don't know. You people call me communist. You know, because I believe in some aspects of socialism. Absolutely. And anyone who doesn't needs to be reminded that we have a post office and a fire department, you fucks. All right. New York City Mayor Zoran Mandami met with President Donald Trump in the Oval Office on Thursday and later posted a photo to social media of Trump beaming with joy while holding up two props the mayor apparently brought him. Zoran brought some gifts. He brought gag gifts. Trump loves a laugh. Yeah, he's... You know, for such an evil fucking dark soul, he really does seem to have a joyous side at times. Like when he's meeting the communist mayor of New York, the joyous side comes out. It's just so weird when you see the way he treats Zoran Mandami, somebody who he has just roasted, the way he acts towards him. And then remember the way he treats Zelensky, who is by any regular person's fucking vision a fucking statesman who is leading his people through an incredible war against an adversary that should have fucking won this thing in 2 weeks. That's what everybody said. And he treats that guy like a piece of shit. But the communist mayor of New York is like his buddy. Mandami posted the photo showing Trump smiling, and we'll show you the photo. Mandami posted the photo showing Trump smiling and holding up two different mock New York Daily News covers. This is what Mandami brought. He brought two fake newspaper covers, headlines, fake headlines, right? Like, it's a bit, it's a funny bit, good bit. This is what Mandami, these are the options of what the headlines will say tomorrow after his meeting with Trump. It's going to say either this, because the meeting went good for Mandami, or it's going to say this, because you know what I mean? That was the bit. That's the joke. Well, the headlines the next day didn't say any of that because the headlines the next day were like, Mandami plays Trump like a fiddle. Well, if he is a communist, maybe he learned from Putin's communist playbook on how to handle Trump. Maybe Trump just loves communists. Putin's a communist. He came up through the communist system. He still hates that the communist whole scene went away, and he's fucking the great miss of Putin's life is that, you know, the Soviet Empire stopped and he's trying to get it back. Don't think he's not communist minded, because Putin absolutely is. So is Mandami. Mandami captioned one image of the fake headline. I had a productive meeting with President Trump this afternoon. I'm looking forward to building more housing in New York City. AP White House correspondents. Hold on. Did I lose my place here? White House correspondent Sung Min Kim. Where are you from? Added some color to what was discussed, reporting, quote, last time the two met, Trump asked him to return with ideas on how to build big things. And Mandami came back with a massive housing proposal. Mandami's team created mock headlines to show Trump how such a project would be received. All right, I was wrong. I thought it was to show what the headline. Okay, I was wrong. All right. The love languages Trump is building, and it doesn't matter how it's paid for. And let me tell you, Trump right now is in charge of a very, very big stash of federal cash. God damn. All right. We're going to go through this. Journalists and observers were quick to praise Mandami's ability to make Trump happy, which was also on display during the first meeting, which saw the two leaders praise each other. Here's a quote. Not seeing such a vivid display of graduate level Trumpology since Maggie Haberman dined alone with the president, referring to Maggie Haberman, who is also widely viewed as a Trump whisperer. Yeah, she's another weird one. Maggie Haberman does nothing but go on the news and spill the most awful Trump dirt, and then the next day, Trump's inviting her to lunch. Like, that's a weird one. Like, I don't know. All right, here's a picture. Here are the two headlines. I'll show it to you. How do we make it as a big? That's what she said. All right. Let's make it big. So here's the picture of the two of these guys. And I'll explain to you what's going on here, because I've got a theory. You know I do. Why would I be doing this? All right, look at these two. Look at a Stalinist communist and, Mr. Everything All America. He's got a fucking flag coming out of his head. That's how American he is. One of the headlines says, Trump to city. Let's build. Backs new era of housing. The other headline said, the other one is from when Ford told New York to go kick rocks. So is this a fake headline? This was a real headline. New York was on the verge of bankruptcy during the Ford administration. New York asked the federal government to bail them out, and Ford said, drop dead. That's a real. All right, so maybe that's it. Okay, so he brought a fake of one that was real. So this is a real headline from the past, and this is the headline that Mandami wants to see tomorrow after this meeting with Trump. Look at the fucking smile, man. This guy is into it. This is a meeting he looked forward to. He loves this guy. I don't know why, but you, as a MAGA voter, should feel really confused by all this. Who am I kidding? You guys aren't confused by anything. You guys just, whatever comes next, you're like, yeah. This fucker said 10 years ago that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't lose a vote, and we all laughed, and he's fucking right. That's on you. That ain't on him. I kind of applaud that. I'm like, Jesus, dude, all right, lean into it. Anyway, all right, so here's what's going on with this, okay? Let me explain what's going on, because this speaks to something that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, and that is when we were discussing Trump suddenly having a problem with the big build bridge going on between Canada and Detroit. There's a whole new big bridge that's going to link Canada to Detroit. The deal was made under Biden, and Trump is now threatening to stop that deal, a deal that was, as we say, all agreed upon under Biden. He's now saying he's going to stop it because he doesn't like how it's going, because, I'm guessing Jared Kushner isn't involved in the building or the contract bidding or whatever. We know this. We talked about it before. We talked about how Trump doesn't like to offer bidding to the highest, the highest American company or whatever. He just gives awards for building to companies that he owns. This is what I've been saying for fucking months now. He's doing it now, right out in the open, and you fucking people, holy shit. The Trump company has grown exponentially, not in the last 10 years since 2026, because they were kind of good during the first administration. They learned during the first administration what they could exploit and get away with and what they can't. And they are leaning into all of it in this administration. The Trump organization has grown exponentially just from last year. What with the mansion build project they've got over there, what with the possibility of condos and resorts in Gaza, what with the post office there in New York City, that the Trump organization, which is weird because they've got the bid to build the new post office in New York City, and that's a federal bid. And how did we give a federal bid to Trump's fucking kid? And nobody's saying anything. Anyway, here's what's going on with Mandami. As was reported there in the story, the last time the two met, the two buddies, they're like, all right, I'll see you next time. The last time they met, Trump said, come back with some building projects. Well, you make that offer to a guy that has promised everybody free housing. He's going to come back with a plan. And that's what he presented to Trump that made him so happy. That's what the meeting was about. He came back with a new building plan for New York. And you know what that new building plan for New York is? It's like a multi-billion-dollar build of public housing. Public housing. They're going to build public housing all over New York City. That's the plan. Now, I don't know the specifics of the plan. I don't know if these are going to be like little planned communities or if they're going to go back to the awful tall skyscraper good times type public housing. You're right. Marcy Gardens there in New York. No, I don't think we should do that. So I don't know what his plan is, but whatever it is, Trump don't give a fuck what his plan is. Here's what Trump sees. There is a massive build coming to New York. And that massive build from New York, the mayor is here asking the federal government to fund it, to fund the public housing. If Trump wasn't in building and development and all of that, he, because he's a conservative MAGA Republican, would say, fuck you and your public housing. No tax dollars for public housing. But that's not what happened because Trump's in charge of awarding the contracts. And you just goddamn know he's going to give the contract to his people. He's going to get a fucking kickback. And it's going to be the Trump organization building all these communist free houses in New York. That's what this fucking guy is doing. And that's why he was so excited yesterday with him. He doesn't give a fuck about what he says. He gives a fuck about how you react to what he says. Cares about that. He wants you to react accordingly, and that means you're going to vote for him again. That's all he fucking cares about. That's what this is about, you guys. Mandami wants the federal government to spend billions of dollars building free housing for New Yorkers, things that he promised, things that while he was promising them and running, Trump was highly critical of. But now he won, so he's here, and he needs billions of dollars from the federal government. And guess who's in charge of giving the billions of dollars from the federal government? Well, Trump. He shouldn't be, and under a normal president, he's not. But somehow now he is, and we just accept that too. So he's going to award these government contracts to New York, and his fucking company's fingerprints are going to be all over it. That's what's happening. That's why he likes Mandami. I also think that he likes the sizzle of Mandami. Trump loves, one of the things I think that Trump hates most about the corner that he has backed himself into. Trump hates the people who love him. Trump has no respect for the people who love him. He doesn't want to hang out with a bunch of fucking hillbillies. He doesn't want to be with anybody who would wait in line to see him spew bullshit for an hour. He doesn't like you people. Half of you MAGA folks, you show up with a red hat in the lobby of fucking Mar-a-Lago drinking your beer with a straw. They're going to kick your fucking trash ass out. They don't want you. He doesn't want you. He'll take your vote because your vote gives him power. But he doesn't fucking want to hang out with you people. He doesn't like you people. Who he likes is Hollywood. Who he likes are all the people that he's been forced to demonize over the past 10 years because, he needed the hillbilly vote and he knew that he could make the hillbilly mad by talking about how fucking awful the celebrity is. And that's what he did. But when Trump lays in bed at night, he wishes that he could fucking hang out with Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg and Oprah. Those are the people that he fucking loves. Why? Because he believes that him, it's fame by association. He is the world's most famous man, but he's also incredibly insecure about it. And the people that he's impressed with, he thinks he doesn't measure up. So how does he make people believe that he actually does measure up to somebody like that? Well, he's shown at a party with Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks and Oprah, and oh my God, look at him, Tom. Oh, Trump, he belongs. That's what he wants. He wants that. And you got to, how pissed do you think Melania is? Melania would have loved to have been the first lady and the queen of New York Fashion Week and all of that shit. Covers on Cosmopolitan. She wanted to be Jackie O. But unfortunately, because of the deal made with the devil, where you had to appeal to people, you have to appeal to people that you don't want to hang out with, Melania's fucking miserable. She's got a fucking bankroll. They got to go to Bill. They got, what's his name? Jeff Bezos. You got to go to Jeff Bezos and say, please make a movie about my stupid wife. She doesn't have any fame and she's really upset about it. Nobody cool wants to hang out with Melania. That's the problem. Nobody that Melania wants. Melania will sit there and have tea with the fucking wife of the president of Poland or whatever the fuck, right? She'll do the first lady shit. But Melania wants to be lunching with Calvin Klein. That's who Melania wants to be. And she's toxic to those people. The Trumps have backed themselves into a position to the point where Ivanka doesn't even make herself associated with these people anymore. When was the last time you saw Ivanka? That was the big problem with Ivanka and Jared in the first term, was that Ivanka, who I mean, she was the one back then that I thought she seemed normal. She seemed like I used to say about Paris Hilton that Paris Hilton is, and this is before Trump was a presidential candidate, right? I used to say that Paris Hilton is Ivanka Trump if Ivanka Trump made every wrong decision in life. Like they were kind of, Ivanka, I thought, was a credible person. And a lot of people, I think, had that switch on young Ivanka during the first term, and it affected her. It affected her that she couldn't go to Hollywood parties anymore, that people didn't want to be seen with her. And that's why this term, she's not fucking, she knows. She knows that she's going to live 40 years longer than her father. She knows that she's going to have to live on this planet after all of this shit is said and done. The dust is settled. The awful movies have been made. The documentaries that shock people about the level of graft and corruption that was actually going on is out. We're going to know all of that stuff. And fucking Ivanka is going to be 60. And she's going to be like, I can't even go to the goddamn drugstore anymore. So that's why she's sort of eliminated herself from it. Now, Kushner hasn't, because Kushner's in it for the money. Her husband is just there trying to make as much money as he possibly can. Not making excuses for Ivanka or anything, but I am saying that is the reason why we do not see her so closely associated with this particular White House. It's because she wants to be not normal. She'll never be normal. She wants to be accepted in cool society. Cool. We'll use cool. Cool is a word. It's an umbrella term. Trump fucking hates that he doesn't have any. Nobody cool loves him. Trump fucking hates that. And so he sees Mandami, and Mandami's pretty cool. I don't know cool like Fon's cool, but hot, sizzle. The young people, the music stars and all that seem to like him. And that appeals to Trump. That kind of heat appeals to Trump. Frivolous celebrity fame, influencer fame appeals to Trump. Why? Because he's never had to work for anything in his life. Because he's never had to really accomplish anything in his life. Because as I always say about President Trump, at the end of the day, he is Fred Trump's boy. That's all. He's a rich kid's. All right. I don't understand the whole Zoran Mandami thing, but there we have it. I gave you my theory. Maybe I'm right. All right, let's see. What else do we have here that we're going to get into today? Let me see. Let's keep going. We've got more. Vanessa Bryant. Here's one. Kobe Bryant's widow, Vanessa Bryant. She is fantastic. She's beautiful. She seems, every time I see her, and you don't see her much. Vanessa Bryant. Vanessa Bryant was America's most famous widow until Erica Kirk. Yeah. Vanessa Bryant, of course, the wife of Kobe Bryant, who died tragically in a helicopter accident a few years back. I'm still not sure if it's 5 or 6, but they got kids. She lost a kid. She didn't only lose her husband. She lost her daughter, left behind with, kids. Look, there's not a single mom. She's not struggling. She's Vanessa Bryant. But she is kind of, with the exception of making public appearances for the Kobe and I'm so sorry. I don't remember Kobe Bryant's daughter's name who passed away, but whatever her name is, it's the Kobe and Her Foundation. So that's really the only time we've ever seen Vanessa Bryant was when she was doing official duties as the foundation chairman for the Kobe and daughter. God, I wish I could remember her name. That's terrible. Anyway, there's a rumor going around, and it might be true, that she is now, all these years later, in a relationship with somebody new, and that Vanessa Bryant, the widowed wife of Kobe Bryant, may in fact be pregnant. Okay, so let me show you. Where is it here? You know what? I'll just show it to you here. It got a lot of heat on Twitter last night. There were a lot of people with hot takes and a lot of people who were, chiming in. Probably another one of these bot accounts were behind it that we covered yesterday, but whatever. Here, let me show you what the tweet that got everybody going about this was. Okay. Oh, there it is. All right, here we go. Sorry. It just took a little bit of while. It was, buffering. All right, here. So this is the post that got widely shared yesterday that caused a lot of people to talk. And so here's what it said. Nope, that's not good. Nothing works. Nothing works proper. All right, here we go. All right, so again, this is probably another one of these bullshit bots. It's presenting as a black guy, although look, they've got some kind of African flag there, so maybe that's good. Oh, who does he say it is that's saying this? My name is Verity, meaning truth. Tell you anybody who promises to tell you the truth is fucking lying to you. It's a technique. I'm giving you the truth. This is called truth radio. Everything that you can promise that it's just agenda-filled radio. My name is Verity, meaning truth. I'll tell you the truth without hesitation. But if the truth makes you feel good, then it's a lie. I don't know what that means. But here's what he posted. He said, Kobe Bryant died in January of 2020. 6 years after his death, his wife has moved on with another man, and she's reportedly pregnant for that man. For that man? Pregnant for that man? Okay. That's an interesting way of saying it. I don't know if it's a typo or a worldview. It is kind of weird. If you think your wife truly loves you, then you're nothing but a fool. Women are not in love. They are in business. All right, so this fucking thing got a whole bunch of shares here. We don't need to give it any more oxygen, but there you see the lovely Vanessa Bryant. First of all, a couple of things just off the start here. Whether or not this is true this time, nobody knows for certain. There has been no qualified or verifiable reports from legacy or traditional journalistic outlets citing that she is pregnant. There have been stories over the years about her moving on and being seen with other people and other people being in it, but they're very quiet and respectful and all of that, because I think at some level she does understand that at one point her role in America was America's favorite widow. So she is very low key about it. However, 1 year ago, this exact same rumor, and this is why it caught my eye last night when I saw it. 1 year ago, this exact same rumor was out there and it was bullshit. Is there some bot farm that has a timer that releases the same nonsense? Because obviously this is just a post designed to trigger people, because that is one of the worst fucking takes I've ever heard. The son of a widow is saying that is the worst fucking take I've ever heard. If you are the kind of person who believes that a widow who husband passes when she's in her 20s is supposed to spend the rest of her life only focused on the memory of her dead husband, you're fucking broken. You're gross. You're a fucking weirdo, and get the fuck out of this show. I don't want you here. Jesus Christ. There is absolutely a mourning period, and there is a good look and a bad look. And by absolutely any estimation, 6 years of Vanessa Bryant's behavior has probably shown us that she should be allowed to move on. She's a beautiful young woman. Who the hell would take away from the fact that 6 years later she might be in a relationship with another man? Again, a report that isn't verified anywhere. But that's not the point. It's the attitude. It is the attitude we are seeing. And by the way, all of the people, you read the responses to that, all of the people are, MAGA this and that's their take. The same fucking people who are deifying Erica Kirk and her behavior are now turning and saying that 6 years later, Vanessa Bryant shouldn't be able to be in a relationship. Qualified sources think that Erica Kirk is fucking JD Vance. I mean, again, I don't believe that. I don't know if that's true, but it was odd that, as those rumors about Erica Kirk and JD Vance began, it was suddenly announced that JD Vance's wife, she was pregnant. There's no truth. There's no truth to the rumor. She's pregnant. Couldn't possibly be cheating on her when she's pregnant. I mean, what kind of a fucking monster would do that? Of course, Trump cheated on Melania with the porn star when she was pregnant. I love it. People are just fucking so full of shit. You mean he cheated on... Oh my goodness, he cheated on his wife while she was pregnant. Why, I, as a member of MAGA, find that to be one of the most anti-family values and disgusting things a person can do. Trump did the same thing. Well, I'm sure he had a good reason. That's who you people are. And you wonder why we laugh at you. And we wonder why you will never be taken seriously again. That's who you people All right. So here's the fact check. Kobe Bryant's wife, Vanessa, has shown resilience after this untimely and tragic passing in 2020, along with their teenage daughter, Gianna. That was it. The Kobe and Gianna Bryant Foundation. While it's been over 6 years since Kobe Bryant passed away in a horrific helicopter crash, his wife, Vanessa, continues to be silent about her personal life. She's a classy lady. Amid this, a rumor of her, she's a classy lady, man. You know, she didn't open the Kobe and Gianna Bryant Foundation festivities by being thrown from an elevator under the stage with pyrotechnics and fucking let's rock. She didn't do that. No. But she's the bad one 6 years later. She's the bad widow. Erica Kirk's the good widow. She's the bad one. While it has been, I wonder what's different about Vanessa Bryant and well, I mean, they're both beautiful young women. Why is one so much more easily to be criticized by MAGA than the other? One is celebrated, and one is celebrated while absolutely demonstrating some sus behavior, yet they're celebrated. The other one has been fucking silent and just nothing but classy for 6 years, and MAGA thinks that one's bad. Again, something wrong with these people. And you know what? I shouldn't say that because again, we proved yesterday a lot of these people aren't people at all. They are bot-fueled conversations designed to trigger us. You people understand, like I'm not breaking any news here, but algorithms, they're deliberately designed to do two things, you guys. Everything you experience on Facebook or on Twitter or any of these things, you are falling victim to the algorithm. Algorithms are deliberately designed to do two things. They want to deliver you content that validates what you already believe to be true. And the second thing that algorithms are designed to do to you is expose you to what you fear most. Get it? That's the purpose of the algorithm. That's what you're getting. Best case scenario, what you're being exposed to on these platforms deliberately by design is exposure to bullshit that you already think is true that isn't. And then the other thing that they're going to give you is shit that they know is going to scare you, i.e. freak you out, trigger you, get you to be angry. That's what algorithms do. Okay? So, probably a lot of these comments are just those fucking evil algorithms. But still, it's algorithms that are representing your political point of view and your worldview. So I would be very concerned about that. The question is Vanessa Bryant pregnant 6 years after Kobe's tragic death? Says here, blah, blah, blah. Their post on the internet, blah, blah, blah. The rumors. Oh, here you go. The rumors circulating online are entirely false. According to this site, you're online too. Why should I believe you? I don't know who to believe. That's the problem we face. Because once again, we exist in a world where we're being spoon-fed an algorithm that does two things. One, tell us that the stupid stuff we believe is true. And two, scare the fuck out of us about people we don't understand and that they're all coming to kill us and take our jobs. That's what algorithms do. So that's why we don't know what the fuck is fuck. The popular philanthropist, that's what she's known as. And that's not what Erica Kirk is known for, right? And Erica Kirk isn't known as a popular philanthropist, is her? I think she's a political hack. To make matters worse, this was not the first time Vanessa Bryant has faced this criticism. This is what I pointed out for a false pregnancy. Twice now, 1 year ago, and again a few months ago in September of 2025, the NBA legend's wife, Vanessa, had to shut down all pregnancy rumors as she broke her silence. So these people are just waiting in the weeds for her to find happiness, for her to emerge from her mourning period. They're just waiting in the weeds for her to have something nice in her life. And they're going to fucking kill her because they're good people. Because that's what, the good people are. Leave her alone. Leave her fucking alone. Now, like I said, I was raised by a widow. I was raised by a widow who deliberately did not bring any men home ever. I was raised by a widow who didn't expose me to any of that shit. And like I say all the time, my mom was hot. My mom was a hot commodity. She went on dates. She had a lot of dates, a lot of dudes. She didn't bring them home. I never woke up in the morning and there's some naked dude eating cereal in my living room. right? And she came home every night, so she wasn't going home with them. We had babysitters and shit. Now, that was a choice that my mom made. My mom made a deliberate choice not to expose me to a bunch of losers. The way a lot of single moms, as they try and find someone to spend their life with, might do to their kids. My mom made that choice, but it wasn't a choice that was mandated. It was just her choice. It was just what she decided. But probably very similar to Vanessa Bryant. But if when I was like 15, 16 years old and my mom met a man and she fell in love with him, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. If he was a good man. She's got a great man now. I don't have a problem with it. I'm happy for her. But the idea that a widow must somehow fucking table their entire life in any hope for happiness or joy is cruel and stupid. That's the real problem. It's stupid. You're stupid. You're stupid if you think that. You're a terrible fucking person and you're a piece of garbage, stupid person. That said, there is a process and there is a way, especially if you're in the public eye. My mom was never in the public eye, so it wasn't like the newspapers would report if she did go out on a date 3 years after my dad was killed or whatever. But because you're in the public eye, I believe that there probably is a different process for it. And I think that Vanessa Bryant has maneuvered it beautifully. And anybody who wants to shit on her for finding happiness is a terrible person. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? So excited to get home tonight and start watching Drive to Survive. So excited. I know my McLaren team had a good year. I don't know how good they had, but I know they had a good year because I love my McLaren team. Let me see. Vanessa Bryant. We did Vanessa Bryant. Here's a good one. Okay, here's an alert for you there. Moms out there. This is a crazy story. And I'm sorry. This ain't a mistake. This is a distracted mom, and this might not just be a distracted mom. This might be an inebriated mom. This might be a mom who is just not dialed in and focused in the morning when she's making breakfast or packing lunches for the kids. Here's the story. This comes out of Atlanta. It happened yesterday. I'll give it to you. Georgia cops tell parents to make sure they don't pack booze in their kids' lunches. That ain't a Capri Sun, Mom. That you sent me to school with some hard cider, and I cracked it open there at the lunch table with the other fifth graders, and I swear to God, everybody came running over. All the teachers took it away from me. Let's see. Here's the story. Police in Georgia. Oh, here, I'll show you the picture of it. Here's a picture of the offending lunch that was packed. Got to be honest, the martini that was packed for the kid looks to be the best part of this lunch. I don't like the fire Doritos, and I don't know what the fuck else is here. But here you go. This is, what? That's not at all. Oh, it's a pop-up. Sorry, guys. Here you go. You see that? Look at that. There you go. So mom's making the lunch real quick for the little fifth grader. She reaches in. She's probably, I don't know what she's doing, smoking a cigarette. No, that's a 70s mom. 70s mom is smoking a cigarette with the phone here, right? She's like, got a cigarette dangling. She's making scrambled eggs, and she's packing the fucking lunch at the same time. She reaches in, and she accidentally, what would be a 70s equivalent, California cooler. She reaches in, and she puts a California cooler in there instead of a Capri Sun. So that's basically what happened. The mom was distracted. She put a lemon drop martini in the kid's lunch. And now the police in Georgia are warning all parents, hey, man, come on, be dialed in. Oh, what the fuck? Now, here's my question. Because we don't live in the 70s, and we don't imagine that she was talking on a phone that was tethered to a wall while smoking a cigarette and scrambling eggs. What was she doing? Oh, it was the mama's little helper? Oh, was she pilled out? Was this mom? Why are these so handy? Did mom? It's 7 a.m. She's making the breakfast and the lunch for the kids. Has mom already had like 3 of these lemon drop martinis herself? What is she not paying attention to? All right. It says here, the 12-ounce canned cocktail made with vodka, triple second lemon juice clocks in at a hefty 11% alcohol by volume. Let's see. That is a whole parent had a long night starter pack, police added. Oh, the police said that? That's funny. Police said, a quote now from the police, that's a whole parent had a long night starter pack. Long nights. Let's see here. That as a whole, parent had a long night, starter pack, police added, urging parents to tighten up. Yeah, man. You know, they say tighten up. I say dial in, man. Focus. Focus what you're doing. We know mornings can be hectic, but your child shouldn't be the only one in the cafeteria with a beverage that requires an ID. Georgia cops are having fun with this. Good. Good. You know, because, you know, maybe in an earlier day, we'd have been triggered to be like, this is an outrage. We need to label. We need to clearly label. I think every bit of alcoholic canned beverage needs to have a skull and crossbones on it. Yeah, that's what we would have done. But these cops, it's Georgia cops. These cops are like, ha ha, I think mom was drunk. We might be looking into that in the coming weeks. Cops say we know mornings can be hectic, but your child shouldn't be the only one in the cafeteria with a beverage that requires an ID. They urged parents to double check the lunch boxes before Fulton County school resource officers have to do an inventory at recess. All right, so parents stay dialed in. There you go. Yeah, that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is gummies, right? Isn't that the big problem with kids getting into gummies? Because grown-ass adults love gummies, man. Grown-ass adults love gummies because when a grown-ass adult is actively engaging in the process of inebriation, other grown-ass adults will judge you. Like, if you're a grown-ass adult and you're like, I gotta go step out on the porch and smoke a joint, like, there's gonna be some other grown-ass adult that's gonna be like, oh, he's one of them. Or if you're a grown-ass adult and you're like, I need to have a beer too, you know, other grown-ass adults will be like, oh, they need to have a beer. Gummies. You can avoid that whole thing. Nobody's gonna see you put a gummy, eat a couple gummies, you're fucking baked and you're hanging out with like lame-ass fucking neighbors. It's great. The problem is that those gummies are now, you know, around the house and they all look like fucking nerds, you know, or atomic nerds or whatever. Kids candy. They all look like kids candy. That's the problem that I can see. My kid's pretty smart. And he's like, I always say about my 16-year-old kid, he's either going to be like president of the United States or he's going to be a really successful con man. He's going to like make $1 billion on Wall Street, you know, with some crazy bullshit thing that he fucking manipulates and cons everybody into, or he's going to be president of the United States. He can go either way. Or maybe a Supreme Court judge if you want to go more in the positive area, but he's good at stuff. He took a bunch of my gummies, and this was like about a year ago. He was staying with me, you know, because we shared custody and all that. So he's staying with me, and I noticed, why are you sleeping all day, dude? What's going on? Do you not feel good? He's like, I'm fine. He slept for like the entire weekend. And then when I took him home, I go, because, you know, want to have a gummy. Kid's gone, time to relax. So I go, I open up my gummies, and there's like 2 left. There was like 10 in there, and there's like 2. They left me 2. He ate 8 gummies. That's what you got to worry about. Actually, I don't need, you know, I mean, we talk about it now because we have a very open relationship about, you know, inebriants and all that stuff. And it's easy for me to say because I'm very lucky, because my kid hates alcohol, hates it. Don't want anything to do with beer. You know what he does? He likes to have a beer performatively. Like if we go out, we do snaps, right? Because he's a long snapper on the football team. We'll go out there in the hot Texas sun and we'll do like, you know, 200 snaps, right? I need 200 perfect snaps in the next 2 hours. Let's get that done. So we'll go out there and we'll do that. Afterwards, he'll performatively go, can I have a beer? And I'll be like, fuck yeah, you can have a beer. You just worked your ass off in the hot Texas sun. Let's sit on a lawn chair in the driveway and drink a beer together. Nothing wrong with that. But he doesn't like beer. Like, he's not going out pounding beers with his friend. He hates fucking liquor. He said to me once, he goes, I don't like that I'm Irish because Irish whiskey is ass. He doesn't like it. But he does like weed. He likes vapes, and he likes gummies, and he likes to relax in that mindset. And so we're all good with it. But that would be the concern that I would have, more so than parents accidentally putting a Smirnoff fucking Harvey Wallbanger in their kids, you know, lunch. I'd be more worried about the whole thing with, you know, some little kid who doesn't know. And that's the point with my kid. My kid tried to play it off like he didn't know. That's why I say he's a con man. He's like, what? I didn't know. I thought they were just candies. I go, fuck you. So you took 8 of them? Well, I didn't take them all. I'm like, why didn't you take them all? Because you knew they weren't candy. That's what he said. No, I just wanted more for later. I go, when was the last time that you just took some random fucking gummy candy and put them in your pocket for later? No, you knew what they were. He finally admitted it. He's like, yeah, I knew what it was. I'm like, you didn't take them all, did you? He's like, no, got them in my room now. So, all right. Anyway, what are we talking about here? There we go. We were talking about the mom who was distracted and accidentally packed a martini in her kid's lunch. Let's talk about Twitter. This is a fun story. This is a fun story that I wanted to get into. And since we're kind of at the end of today's show, spend a little bit of time on this one. Do I maybe need to go to the bathroom? I think I do. All right, when we come back, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. When I come back, we're gonna do a whole segment on Twitter. Every day, I'm bringing you another example of why Twitter is a fucking dystopian nightmare. Yesterday, I brought you a full series of reports from Wired Magazine about all of the MAGA bots that aren't real people that are flooding your Twitter feeds that aren't coming from inside the United States. They aren't a black guy in Nebraska or a lesbian 20-year-old woman who loves Trump. No, they're not real. They're coming from bot farms in fucking Africa and Eastern Europe and, South America. That's what they are. That was yesterday's segment. Today's segment, I don't even know what this is. We're going to have to work this through together, but I discovered something that's pretty fun. And I'm going to start doing something really regularly. Now, maybe I need to talk about this publicly, and I'm going to put it out there so that if it goes haywire, if it goes squirrely, I'll at least be able to go, no, back when I said I was doing this on purpose. I stated. I'll tell you what that is. You'll want to stay tuned. A new discovery, a fascinating hole in Twitter that I fell into. I'm going to share it with you tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, after this break. I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to redo my coffee. Come right back. Again, less than 5 minutes, I promise. All right, you guys, what the hell? Did I have a booger hanging out of my nose for like the last hour? What the hell, man? Went to the I went to the bathroom and I'm like, what the f- going on here? By the way, very funny, Barney. As we were going to that little break there, I teased that I'm doing research. I'm doing research for a bit. I just want to put that out there in case things were to go sideways. Well, I've told you, these opposition viewpoints of mine, me going hard against the sitting president of the United States, we exist in a time where I could have a target on my back. I'm just saying. Now, hopefully, I'm insignificant enough that I wouldn't even draw any attention. But also, maybe I am insignificant enough that they could target me because, well, who the fuck would miss me if I suddenly go away, right? High-profile critics, that comes with baggage if you try and end them. Me? So, yes. Barney says, sure, the 55-year-old white man is just doing research. Yeah, me and Pete Townsend, right? Me and Pete Townsend. Pete Townsend was writing a book on naked kids. And, God, what the fuck, man? How prevalent is pedophilia in our world, man? And one of the things that I hate most about the fucking radical right is that they are just so comfortable with the conversation of pedophilia. This is something that was never discussed. That's my entire life. I was like in my mid-40s before people started publicly going, hey, did you hear about that pedophile? I'm not even sure I knew what the word pedophile was until the early 2000s. They were always just Chester the molesters. Hey, dude's a Chester the molester. Now all of a sudden we got the word pedophile. My point is this: we became comfortable. We became real comfortable as a society, normalizing the conversation of one of the most disturbing aspects of humanity, which is that, throughout time, it's been well documented that there are some people among us, men and women, who do not have this. I don't even think it's moral. I was going to say there was a moral line in your head, right? Like, you do not cross the moral age line, but it's not moral. It's sexual. I can't get sexually excited looking at a 10-year-old, girl or boy. It just wouldn't work. It's the same way that I know I'm not gay. No matter how much I love Hallmark movies, or no matter how much I love rom-coms, no matter how much I love fashion. Oh, I love shopping for clothes. I'm not gay. Why? Because I know that the blood wouldn't flow to the place that the blood needs to flow for me to actually consummate a relationship under that orientation. Wouldn't work. Same way I know I'm not a pedophile, and it's the same way that I'm so disgusted with the whole fucking thought of pedophilia that it's really kind of... It has really bothered me that all of a sudden everything is everybody's accused of being a pedophile. Everybody is this the normalcy of discussing child pornography rings as they apply to politicians is fucking maddening. And it's gross, and it is normalized, that subject, and that subject cannot be fucking normalized. Oh, Pugs, what would you prefer, that it remain in the shadows? No, I would prefer that in civilized society we have, guardrails, things that we just don't discuss, things that are just too ugly to discuss. That used to be the top thing. You didn't discuss shit like that in public, but it's been normalized. And there's a generation now that has grown up with nothing but the normalization of discussing that topic. And that's where we are. So last night on Twitter, and again, this is all a part of my 168-part series, Why Twitter is Killing Us. I was on Twitter yesterday, and I love these. I engage with the bots. If it is clearly you're not supposed to do that. I'm a professional. I'm doing it as a part of a greater social experiment, so I will engage with the bots. You may notice if you follow me on Twitter, there will be things like, stupid shit, like, just dumb, non-political, whatever, just stupid bots with a meme, And then you look and it's got like 30,000 retweets. And you're like, how the fuck does this have 30,000 retweets? So I'm fascinated by that process. And sometimes I will forward that with my thoughts on what's going on here. What's the marketing angle here on this? Why did they choose to say this? And why did it work so? That's the perspective that I use when I look at these things. I'm not triggered by them. I'm not engaging because they got me. I'm trying to figure out, as somebody who is desperate to gain some traction, I'm trying to figure out what these methodologies are and which ones work. So I engage with a lot of them. I ain't engaging with this one. I'm going to show you why I'm not engaging with this one. Or should I? And I think that's the question I want to ask you guys. So I found this very innocuous tweet here. Let me show it to you. This was on Twitter. Now, this is a play on a tweet that you have seen a million times, right? The tweet you've seen a million times is, you've just worked a 12-hour shift and you come home from the plant and your wife serves you this. What do? And it's almost always an awful looking dinner, right? And I understand what the thing is there. You're trying to trigger misogynistic men to say, if my wife doesn't make me a roast, that's the goal of that particular tweet. We've seen it a million times with a million different depictions of some awful fucking slop meal. This post last night caught my attention because this post is in that same genre, but it's not a slop meal. Here it is. Let me show it to you. This is the post that kicked off this new discovery of mine. This comes to us from young Emma. Young Emma here. 15 hours. You just got off a 15-hour overnight shift and come home to this. What do? This is different than what we usually see. Usually what we see is a chunk of Spam and some fucking canned green beans and a piece of dry toast. And we're supposed to be like triggered by that. But here, Emma, that fucking looks amazing. That's good. I'd like that. Of course, I'm also the type of guy who wouldn't complain about, because I'm assuming my wife is also working long shifts. And if I want something better, I can cook it my fucking self because I'm a modern human. Anyway, this caught my attention. That looks fucking great. And I didn't think anything more of it until I went down here and I'm like, holy shit. All right. So she tweaked the genre of showing shitty food and then trying to trigger misogynists. She tweaked that genre with good food. So I was kind of interested in how that played. And I'm like, oh, she's got fucking 6.9 thousand retweets on this bullshit. Or she's got likes. She's got 1.2 thousand retweets. She's got 4.4 thousand comments. And I started to wonder, why the fuck? How does this is not a special tweet. Why does this have so many fucking comments? And then I looked and I went, oh, it's because it's Emma. That's what it is. Look at Emma. This is Emma with all the followers and her food hot takes. She's got more hot takes. She's got they're all innocuous too, because she doesn't care about the politics of the pedophiles she's trying to lure. So this is Emma. I believe that Emma is presenting here. Hold on, let me get rid of Barney. I don't need Barney reminding the world that this is a pretty sketchy fucking hobby that I've discovered. This is Emma. She is presenting as, at best a 15, 16, 13. I don't know. Chat room. What age is Emma? What do you think? Because, you play the part of the person on Twitter who stumbles across her and decides they must follow her. I must follow her. How old do you think she is? I don't fucking follow anybody that looks like I wouldn't want to follow anybody, Oh, that's not true. I might follow a couple of funny gamers that my kid likes, but they're boys. Oh, that makes it worse, right? That's even worse. Ouch. All right, how old do we think Emma is? Anybody in the chat room got a guess? I mean, I'm thinking she's presenting probably as I'm saying 15, but it could be 13. Peter has a take on Emma. Peter says, why don't you just set up a profile like Emma and then tweet away and watch your popularity soar? Well, duh. I mean, yeah, that is absolutely my next step. However, there are pitfalls with the audience that I will attract, because Emma has certainly attracted an audience of people that I've got questions as to why you're following a 16-year-old girl, 16-year-old All-American Emma. Here, let's look at her page. Let's see if there's anything on her page that maybe pushes us. Nope, look at that. Dreams will come true. I'm Emma. I'm an all-American girl, and dreams will come true. Right? Looks like a kid's bedroom, like something she'd have over her wall, and over her dresser on her wall. Here's how Emma describes herself. Emma, just in case, because again, we're gonna look at some of her followers. we're gonna see who's interested in what Emma has to say and what that says about them. Emma says, asking questions, sharing thoughts, and riding this wild journey called life. What inspired you today? Let's explore, reflect, and connect. Could you imagine seeing your fucking dad in one of these comments going, Dad, why are you looking to explore, reflect, and connect with 16-year-old Emma? It's Elma. All right, so the other trick that we learned from yesterday when we talked about how Twitter has a new thing where you can see the country of origin of all of these posts. Emma is obviously projecting herself as a Western teen. I won't go so far as to say American. She could be Canadian. Hell, she could be English. I don't know, but she is certainly a Western teen. A Western world, white, Caucasian teenage girls filled with optimism and ripe to be exploited. That's what this is. I'm asking questions. I'm admitting to the world that I just don't know much, and I need someone to explain things to me. Nothing a 50-year-old pedo dude likes better than explaining the world to 16-year-old Elma. Asking questions, thoughts, and riding this wild journey called life. It's wild. You want to get wild, Emma? You want to get wild? Seriously, these are all fucking triggers. These are all things intended to attract a certain kind of person. Now, you would think if we lived in a normal world, Emma's followers would be probably a nice cross-section of horny teenage boys and other girls looking to share makeup tips and all of that. Oh, that ain't what fucking Elma's dealing with. Nope. Elma's got 41,000 followers, and we can just let's just scroll through Elma's page and let's see who some of these people are who are following Elma, and then let's jump on their pages and see what they get into. All right, so is this a pin post? Or is that a new? No, 27 minutes ago, Elma, this is a fresh one, so we'll do this one. Okay, 27 minutes ago, recent post from Elma. She says, if all humans suddenly lost the ability to lie, what industry would collapse first? I'm just a little girl. I'm asking these big questions designed to attract bitter, old, cynical men. All right, let's check in with this. Let's see who within the last 27 minutes were triggered so quickly that they wanted to explain something to this little girl. All right, let's see here. All right. Elma's got, wait. I'm sorry. Before we do here, remember because we learned yesterday, Elma presents Western, white, Caucasian, all of that. All you got to do is go to where it says joined. You can click on that now. And you can go to where the account is based, and this is based in India. There you go. Elma doesn't look Hindu to me. Oh, Pugs. Oh, what? You're shocked that someone's being deceptive on Twitter? No, I'm not shocked. But I'm worried that some of you might be, and that's the whole purpose of this. These things are all fucking lies, but let's go one level deeper. Why are they lying? What is the goal of these lies? It's not enough just to say, well, that person's a liar. Is there a motive? Is there a strategy behind the lie? I don't know what this strategy is. I don't know what Elma's strategy is other than designed to lure perverts. I don't know if this is, or pedophiles. I don't know if this is a honey trap. Like, are her DMs open? Right? Like, are grown-ass men, like a 45-year-old math teacher in Kansas, is he sending her DMs going, if you ever want to talk to somebody who can explain the world to you, I'd be happy to. And then it somehow escalates on DMs to send me a picture of you in your panties. And then they've got him. Is that what this is? You know what I mean? Like, they got him. Like, then they contact him with, hey, you're flirting with a fucking kid you're a math teacher. Send us 10 grand or we're going to fucking expose. Right? Is that what this is? I don't know. But I know it's weird. Okay, so let's go back down here. Remember her most recent post, 33 minutes ago now. What industry is her question to the meme If all humans suddenly lost the ability to lie, what industry would collapse first? All right, let's see. Now we got 70. Holy shit, she's already got 2.2 thousand impressions, 23 likes. Now, she's not one of the big ones, right? I mean, but she is incredibly successful. She is 100 times more successful on Twitter than I am, and I try to do reasonable, legitimate, sincerely authentic content, and I can't get any fucking traction. Well, Pugs, maybe that's because your opinions suck. That could be. Could be. But now, one step further. Why do they suck? Or why are they being interpreted as sucky? Because they sure as shit don't suck when I launch them. I think they're legitimate opinions. I don't know. All right, let's check on these guys. Oh, somebody new just posted. All right, let's see. Let's just scroll down here. Oh, look, first out of the box, it's Larry McKnight. Larry McKnight. He's got a blue check. He's paying the world's wealthiest man a monthly stipend to have something that the rest of us enjoy for free. So we know that he's a sharpshooter. All right, Larry McKnight. Larry McKnight was first in. Let's see what Larry, a guy who follows and interacts with a 16-year-old girl. Oh, he loves Jesus. That's like right from the start. Larry McKnight loves his Jesus. Larry's got 1,700 followers, which leads me to believe that he's real. He comes to us here from Green Mountain Falls, Colorado. So let's see if he really is in Colorado. It is. It is based in the United States. Larry McKnight is probably a real person who loves Jesus. Came to know that he was my king and that we belonged to him 54 years ago. Married to Vicky for 49 years. Loved more every day. I'm a pastor and a teacher. Joy and life is his whole deal. And he interacts with a little girl on Twitter. Okay, Larry. Very good. Very good, Larry. All right, let's see who else. Who else was quick to respond to Elma? Let's see here. After Larry, we got End Russ. He doesn't even pay for the blue check, so that's a positive. Russ is interacting with the 16-year-old girl on Twitter saying, mainstream news dating sites, churches, temples. Okay, he's one of them. He's another one. I don't know if he loves Jesus. I know who he voted for. Because he doesn't trust the mainstream news. And anybody who fronts with that, and anybody who has that in the front of their mind, and that's like the first, they don't just fucking say lawyers or pharmaceutical sales reps. No, it's the fucking liberal media. There's something wrong with you. All right, here's Ross. He's real too. He's real because he's only got 288 followers. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't care about anything. He's just here to meet chicks. But here he is. This guy, and Ross, is very active on the page of a 16-year-old girl. Okay, there you go. Let's see who else. We can do these. I spent hours last night just looking at these pens. So here's the project that I'm thinking of doing. Let's do one more. Jonathan. Jonathan is here. Notice that these are all like middle-aged grown-ass men rapidly responding to the query of a 16-year-old girl on Twitter. Now, I know that this isn't enough evidence to put anybody in prison, but holy fuck. What are you doing? Why, Dad? Dad, why are you interacting with Elma so much? You barely speak to me, Daddy. Here's Jonathan. Let's see what's going on with Jonathan. Jonathan, he's got a blue check too. Gaza, this is not a war. I'm not even entirely sure what that's about. He's a Montana. He's a communist Montana. There we go. One for the left. We got one for the far crazy left. Mom, I just want a Pepsi. I am blocked by Brett Favre and Ryan Leaf. Well, I don't mind that. I talk about sports and world issues. Oh, you can add, Jonathan, that you interact with a 16-year-old fake girl on Twitter. Let's see one more. This guy's fun. We know it's a dude because the screen name is Boba Fart. Here's Boba Fart with his 43 followers. He's got nothing really in here either, but he seems that we don't need to. All right, I'm looking for people that actually, they're public with who they are on Twitter and then also at the same time interacting with these pedo traps. Katie, here's a girl. All right, this is good. This is good. Look at Katie. I promise you that's not Katie. I promise you, Katie. Is Katie another honey trap? Cat Spice. Oh, no, she's a wife and mom, so she's not a honey trap. All right, Katie might just be stupid. Katie might just be, Katie might just be like, she's a little girl. That's fine. We're not going to say anything about Katie. She's fine. She's just, what's the Prayrit Builds? Is that praise? It's another Christian hanging? Yo, it sure is. Look, we got Jesus right there. He likes Jesus and really expensive luxury cars because we know Jesus. We know Jesus loved his Maserati. Let's see. What kind of stuff does this guy who interacts with a 16-year-old? Oh, well, other young girls. He posts things of other young girls. And then he says this. These porn addict people commenting, not my wife material to this, doesn't even have the guts to look into her eyes, let alone to be their husband. I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about. All right, anyway, he loves Jesus and fast cars and hanging out with teenage girls on Twitter. There you go. All right, let me see anybody else. All right, because we're not racist. How about a brother? We got a brother here. He's chiming in. This is S.C. Alawo. He's got 2,800 followers. Where is he from? Where's the joined? Joined August 2015. Let's see where he's from. Oh, all right, Nigeria. So he's probably a bot. Never mind. We don't need him. He's probably, I was going to say he's probably not even a black guy, but then again, it's Nigeria, so he probably is. All right, let's see. Patrick, he wants the adult industry gone while interacting with a child on Twitter. Patrick wants the adult industry blamed. He's got 1,200. Let's see where he is. Patrick is probably real because he's got, you can't, okay, so that's a normal place. So that's real. It's probably not a bot farm. He's got 1,200 followers. He's interacting with a child on Twitter. So there you go. That's Patrick. Kirk Lax. Kirk Lax is against prostitution, but totally pro talking with a child on Twitter. So let's see what Kirk Lax is about. He's multi-agency managing insurance and investment accounts. All right, he's real. This guy's real. Let's see what the kind of shit he gets into because he's real. Look at him. This is this guy. Okay. There we go. That's our guy who interacts. This is your dad who's hanging out on Twitter, interacting with a child. Let's see what his page is like. See what he's about. Yeah, I can tell you. I think I know what his page is about. Let's see. All right, military. He's military stuff, so he's alpha oriented. All right. Navy SEAL. He's in the Navy SEAL. All right, Modern Warrior. He's one of these guys. Okay, we know Elon Musk. He's retweeting. We know how he voted. Right now, it's all bot peds and fucking MAGA peds. That's my point. The people who have normalized the conversation and the accusation of others being pedophiles, those very same people can be found on Twitter hanging out with 16-year-old fucking kids. So yeah, so here's what I'm thinking of doing, okay? So here's my new Twitter fun. I'm thinking about following as many of these types of accounts as I can. Now, I know that will then, well, he was following all the, but here's what I want to do. I want to start attacking the people who comment on her tweet, like those guys that we just fuck. I want to reply to them. Why the fuck are you talking to a 16-year-old kid? Like, I want to out them in that way. I think that might be fun. But again, then now I am somebody who is actively engaging on the accounts of girls who are not real, but presenting as underage. And I don't know if I want that either. Now, the other thing was suggested just a couple of seconds ago, which was the idea that maybe I create my own fake account where, that would be fun. So I'd get to pick a picture of a girl. I'd have to figure out what her motivation is. It would be like acting. It would be like, okay, so who am I when I am this character on Twitter? What am I going to? So that's a possibility too. We might do that. That could be fun. All right, that's Elma. And there's a whole bunch just like her. I didn't want to do a whole show on all the other ones. I thought Elma was the best example because she checked all the boxes. Not real, presenting as an underage girl, Western, coming from a bot farm in India. So that's why I chose her. What else do we have here? Gavin Newsom is out there talking about Gavin Newsom, who is obviously running for president. I don't know how I feel about it because honestly, I don't live in California. I don't really know much about him. All I know about Gavin Newsom is the national brand from both the right and the left. So, whatever. This dude looks good in a suit. He doesn't seem fucking nuts like the guy we got. Honestly, I would vote for a ham fucking sandwich if we could get this guy out of there. I don't care. I don't give a shit. As a matter of fact, wouldn't it be fun? Let somebody challenge him from the right. Will somebody in the Republican Party say enough is enough and step up and challenge for wait, challenge him from the right. Wait, that wouldn't make any sense. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's not running again. So what do I need? What do I want? I don't know. Stream of consciousness. Point is this. Gavin Newsom is now, we showed you a stump speech from Tallarico yesterday, who I said this guy is gaining traction with a message that is very similar to the one that I've been sharing here every single day. That message being, we are not the enemy. We the people. This country was founded on the concept of we the people. We the people have been deliberately manipulated and divided for almost 30 years now. It became, okay, so, Pugs, what do you mean? How do you even put time on when the division started? The division started when they decided that they could make money off of news. That's when the division started. You can go all the way. It didn't start immediately, and the plan wasn't that, but it's what it evolved into. Knowing the history of, media, a guy named Fred Silverman. A guy named Fred Silverman in the late 1970s started this whole thing. There are some people who think that Fred Silverman is a genius and one of the greatest television executives who've ever lived. There are other people who think that he's the monster who was at ground zero when this whole fucking bullshit thing started. What Fred Silverman did was he became the president of ABC News. Or not ABC News, I'm sorry. He became the president of ABC, the entirety of ABC. Primetime, Happy Days, all that, and Peter Jennings or whatever the news was at the time. Now, the reason that we have network news is because in the early days of television, the federal government said, you are going to use the public airwaves to make yourself some money. You don't own the apparatus that delivers your message to the people. The people own that apparatus. That apparatus being the airwaves that broadcaster signals fly through. So the federal government said, we will grant you this license to use and make money off of the federal airwaves, off of the people's air. We will give you a license to do that. But in return, it can't just all be about making money for you. You must provide X amount of informative, news-based information to everybody. And that's why the networks have news departments. They wouldn't have news departments if they didn't have to have them. They would have fucking game shows with chicks in bikinis all day long if they could. But it was mandated. Community service was mandated, and that's where network news and all that stuff came from. And it was a loss leader. No news department in America associated with a television network or a radio network, no news division ever expected to do anything but lose money. It was a loss leader provided as a service to the people to inform them about what's happening. That was the deal. Fred Silverman becomes president of ABC, finds a loophole in that. And Fred Silverman invented something called entertainment news. The first incarnation of this kind of news was 2020. Remember 2020? I'm Hugh Downs. I'm Barbara Walters. That was Fred Silverman. That was Fred Silverman taking the news department and saying, you know what? We can make money. We can do something that presents as news, but isn't in fact news at all. It airs in prime time and is subject to primetime commercial rates, and boom, hugely successful, to the extent that every fucking network tried to copy it. CBS came along with 48 Hours. NBC has had incredible success with Dateline, but they all came from the original manipulation of that deal between the federal government and the broadcasters. It's a manipulation. They discovered they could make money with news. So then you have Fox News. Fox News. Cable came about in the 1990s. They had all these channels. What are we going to fill these channels with? And they went back to that old playbook. What if we did a news station that was actually more interested in making money? And that's when we got the Fox News and then the MSNBC and all of that shit. These things are not designed anymore to inform us and make us better citizens. No, they are designed now to make money. And what they've decided was that it is in their best interest to keep us, the people, at each other's throats. Fox News, MSNBC. Keep us at each other's throats. Keep us divided, because as long as we're divided, the same three people who run all the news media in the world can then have better control of the fucking playing field that they are puppeteering. It's kind of mixed metaphors there, right? Playing field, puppeteering. But you get my point. We are intentionally divided since the launch of MSNBC and Fox News and that era. Once, what was this guy? Not Frank Rich. What not Roger Ailes. It was Roger Ailes, who was Ronald Reagan's communications director, who looked at what Fred Silverman did. And then when he was out of the White House after the Reagan years, he went into television and he had a concept for entertainment, money-making news. And that's when this whole thing started. So when I say that we've been divided and at each other's throats for 30 years, that's how I come to that number. And it's normal now. It is normalized now for news divisions to fire people for not making a profit. News divisions never made a profit. I don't think Walter Cronkite ever made $1 million a year. The fucking spare fill-in anchor on Good Morning America makes $10 million a year. It's a different thing now. And we've been divided. And my message all along on this show has been, resist the division. Resist. Identify the manipulations. I understand that you don't fucking have to hate the person who lives across the street because they vote differently than you. Who you both should be hating is the person who have put you in a position where you think the other person is evil. Recognize that. Recognize you're being controlled and manipulated, and that your most prurient interests are being fucking exploited by people who don't give a fuck about you, but only care about getting their second fucking yacht, because it's so hard to move it from Catalina Island to the Mediterranean. You got to have a yacht in both places. You guys know this. So my message of resist the division. Fuck you, you right-winger. Fuck you, you left-winger. How about us, the 70% in the middle? It's been echoed recently by James Tallarico. We focused that we played that yesterday. And I told you this fucking guy. Now this guy's ripping my message off. I think even like somebody really awful also has been ripping that message off. Look, I'm kidding. I'm not saying ripping it off. I'm not saying that. Look, again, I'm an old man shouting at clouds. I have no influence. It's just like minds apparently think alike. And now that message that I've been preaching for 5 years here on this show seems to be being amplified at the highest levels. And we need to be happy about that. Tellerico yesterday. And now, and I don't have a copy of the speech and I don't have an actual clip of it, but Gavin Newsom, his new branding is Democrats need to be culturally normal. And it's receiving all kinds of pushback. You know, the fucking crazy 15 on the left. What do you mean normal? What's normal? And that's why I choose the word normal. I use the word normal because I want you to wonder and have to think what normal is and then question, am I normal? I'm not normal on everything. What is normal? That's a moving goalpost. I don't know what we've normalized talking about pedophilia, right? We just talked about that in the previous segment. But people don't like that Gavin Newsom is saying that we need to be culturally normal. But you know what? That's the fucking message the opposition needs to put out, because it works twice. One, people want to be normal. People don't want to be weird. So when they hear somebody talking about let's be normal, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go stand with the person that everybody is saying is being normal. That's one. But the second and the more important result of using the word normal in these political contexts is that it shows that the other people aren't. That's what it shows. That's branding. That is what I have been talking about, how the Democrats fucking lose everything because they don't know how to win elections. They don't know how to go to war because they see themselves as good people and war is bad, even if it means I have to say something against my opponent who just said that I'm fat, ugly, and a loser and that my son's a drug addict. I'm still not going to say anything bad about. We are at fucking war. I'm not saying that those far left, super progressive ponytail, sweater vest wearing voices don't have a place in the opposition party. They absolutely do. But right now, it's about winning an election. Right now, it's about everything. Everything hinges on the midterms. And if the fucking opposition in this country wants to be namby-pamby pussies, they're just going to lose again. But we know that the opposition party in this country is the Democrats. And what do we know? They love to fall on their swords. They don't care about winning. The right cares about winning. The right will do whatever the fuck we see this. The right will do whatever the fuck it takes, say whatever the fuck it takes, and then do whatever the fuck they want. Because as long as they promise their base what their base wants to hear, they're good. It works both ways. But the fact is that where we sit in 2026, there are enough people in this country, people who were formerly supporters of MAGA, who formerly rooted for President Trump, as I did. I told you when we started this whole thing, remember last year after the election, I told you I'm not going to fucking freak out. I don't want Trump to win, but we're going to give this guy a chance. I gave this guy a chance all the way to the summer, and fuck me. So now we're here. He's got to go. And we've got to recognize that it's bad for this country. Jesus, that sun is really bad now, isn't it? Oh, my God. We'll kill the studio lights. Let's see if we get these. That didn't help. Anyway. Gavin Newsom, who I don't know that I even support. But again, like I said, if it turns out to be Newsom against Trump, Newsom all day long. Because fuck you and your devil you know bullshit. I know the devil that's in there. I know him. I don't know the devil that Gavin Newsom is, but trust me, I don't think he can be nearly as big a devil as the one we got. Culturally normal. What does he mean by that? What does he mean that made he means the gender stuff, okay? That's first and foremost. That stupid, insignificant, motherfucking issue has been the difference between reasonable people running this country gloriously into the future and this goddamn overflowing cess swamp that we have right now. The gender issue. Culturally normal. He's talking about the culture wars. It is not normal when asked how many genders there are. It is not normal to go, well, there could be any number of genders. There could be. No, there's two genders. There are many different sort of, orientations or mental or whatever. There's two fucking genders. You've either got a vagina or a penis. Would you be fucking normal for a minute? That's the problem. And he means a whole bunch of different issues. But that is the one really that triggers most normal people. The reason a lot of normal people voted for Trump was because they could not believe the absurdity they heard on this issue and many other cultural issues. Now, I've often through the years described myself as economically fairly conservative moderate and very culturally progressive. Now, I gave myself that designation in a time when being culturally progressive meant gay people were fine. I don't have a problem with gay people. How does that affect me? How does who this person wants to make out with? I've always been that way. I don't give a fuck. What else? Abortion, women's right to choose. My vibe on abortion has always been, I, as a male, probably have about a 15% opinion on it. 15%. I did the deed. I got her pregnant. And this is not a relationship where we're trying to have a baby. So I get about 15% say. I'm not one of the... It is abnormal to think that the man should have an equal say when a man knocks up a woman. That is not normal. The man is not going to go through what the woman is going to go through. So shut the fuck up, okay? So my opinion on abortion has always been woman's right to choose. It's a woman thing. We men ought to shut the fuck up about it and just go, well, honey, whatever it is that you decide. Instead of being little cunts, little trad cunts going, that's my little bean that I don't want to raise and I'll never give hugs to. We must make that a thing. Or I raise a little man who's hateful of his father because I'm a cynic. What the fuck? So, I mean, and there's a whole bunch of other issues, the culture wars, whatever. The Christmas thing is silly, right? That's another. Why did that pop into my head? Save Christmas. Oh, yeah, because we're not celebrating Christmas anymore over here in the Democratic Party. Fuck Christmas. That's what we say. Please. The message from Gavin Newsom is to the left. Just be fucking culturally normal, man. Stop fighting over shit that really, what are we doing? Did I appropriately trigger Adam in the chat room? I was hoping with that little rant to trigger. All right, here's what we got from Adam. Let's see. Republicans make the gender issue a thing. I've never seen and dyed-in-the-wool liberal candidates speak loudly about what you just said. Stop taking the bait. No, you are missing the point. Well, you're not missing the point because you are absolutely right. That issue was made a thing entirely by the right. Why? Because they knew that the liberals couldn't control themselves and that they would get fucking roped into tripping over their own dick again. Just like they fucking did, Adam, at the State of the Union. Oh, the Dems loved, I'm boycotting. I will not be a party to the States of the... They made a fool of themselves with their not fucking standing for the hockey team, with all of that bullshit. That's what the Democrats are. The Democrats are more about how this looks. This is our opposition party. This is why we're going to lose again. Performatively I'm going to walk out. Al Green with his fucking, I am not an ape. That was 3 fucking weeks ago, Al. You're triggered now performatively when the cameras are there? Fuck you, man. This disingenuous bullshit. I am not an ape. That's what the Democrats do. They embarrass themselves because they would rather look good and fail doing the perceived right thing than fucking win, Adam. You got to throw all these rules out in the next 9 months. We got to fucking win. Instead, we're bickering among ourselves about, the transgender thing. How about we all stop taking the bait? That's the next time it's brought up, just say, yeah, whatever. There, that's the answer. That's what Gavin Newsom is asking for. Gavin Newsom, when he says we need the left to be more culturally normal, what he means is when some fucking dumb hillbilly goes, I ain't liking them tranny people, don't take the fucking bait. Shut your fucking mouth. Move away. Yeah, well, that's what you think. And move away. It's the whole point. The Dems can always be roped into doing something that is bad because they think it looks proper in the moment. Al fucking Franken stepping down. Again, that kills me. That kills me. Al Franken in the Senate during the Trump years would have been awesome. Al Franken would have been the greatest defender of America against this bullshit. You think anybody else in the Senate can articulate or has the wit or the humor or the sensibility to know what plays with the American public better than the former head writer for Saturday Night Live? Why the fuck did you make him step down? I will never forgive Kristen Gillibrand for that. She fucking will never get any support out of me for anything because she decided to cannibalize one of her own. She decided to throw her best player as a teammate on the Dems. She decided to throw her best player under the bus, knowing that we were going to need him in the playoffs. She decided to throw him under the bus so that she could, in the moment, look like she was standing up for women. You will never get anything out of me, Kristen Gillibrand. You are absolutely the epitome of why we have what we have. So don't get triggered when Gavin Newsom tells you to stop being fucking weird and start being culturally normal. All right. It's Barney. Don't like slavery? Don't own one. Am I right? Hey, that's what General Grant did. That's why I love General Grant. General Grant, America's greatest general. General Grant, all while being fucking completely shit-faced. He was drunk the entire time he did everything great. Anyway, General Grant was didn't like the slaves. Didn't like slavery is how I should say it. And he's down there in Galesburg, Illinois. Not down there, he's over there in Galesburg, Illinois. And he's a comer. He's Grant. People are like, that dude's got something, right? So he's like the only dude in town that doesn't have slaves. He's like the only guy that doesn't have slaves. And Grant married into a very, very wealthy family from Ohio. He married a woman from Ohio, and they had a very big plantation. And this is the coolest General Grant story ever. As a condition of the marriage, right? So General Grant, before he's a general, goes to the father-in-law, "Sir, I'd like your daughter's hand in marriage." And the father-in-law, knowing that Grant was anti-slavery and that he himself was a large slaveholder, he tried to fuck with Grant. And so on his wedding day, the present that Grant was given by his new father-in-law was his very first slave. Very first slave. Yeah. So, what are you going to do? Your father-in-law gives you a gift you don't want, right? He's like, oh, that's great. What's your name? My name is Toby. Oh, hey, Toby. I'm Ulysses. You can call me Yuli. All right, come on over here. Thanks, father-in-law. Appreciate it. Hey, everybody, check it out. I got a slave now. Grant immediately freed him. Grant immediately freed him and then made him his personal assistant. Paid, gave him a place to live. And this fucking slave, former slave, who was given to General Grant as a gift on his wedding day from his father-in-law, who was trying to force Grant to be a slave owner, would serve General Grant throughout his course in the White House. That's a story, man. That's why Grant, yes, he was fucking drunk all the time. But, he wasn't a mean drunk. He was a slave-freeing drunk. What's that guy's name? Why can't I remember his name? There's a whole county here in Illinois named after him. Who was Grant's? Here we go. Yeah, that's it. William Jones. That's who it was. Ulysses S. Grant only legally owned one enslaved person, William Jones, who he acquired around 1859 from his father-in-law and then freed shortly after, Grant utilized but did not own. William Jones. Grant acquired Jones around. Anyway, whatever. William Jones. Oh, wait, or was it Harrison Terrell? No, I think it's William Jones. Anyway, he had another black assistant who he employed. Anyway, that's why I like Grant. Is it super bright in here? I can't even see the screen at this point. So I think it's time now for us to end this show. Look at us. We almost did 4 hours, about 3.5 good solid hours of talk here. Opposition Talk. RadioMisfits.com. Thank you so much to our executive producer. Our month was made. Why? Because, and I can't see it. Jesus, I can't see the screen at all. This glare is. I was like, are the shades even drawn? I gotta get out of here. Thank you, Heidi. We're gonna start trying to raise money on Monday, so be prepared. More shows Monday through Friday. It's the Rant with me, Pugs. Have a good weekend. Drive to Survive. Drive to Survive is great. It's on Netflix. Even if you don't like it, seriously, so like okay. So let me think of somebody who April. April's a good example. Okay, April, you like it. You like it because it's not just race cars, and there is no talk about what cubic size engine needs. No, it's not that. It's all about, which billionaire driver is being catty to the other billionaire driver, and whose hot driver model girlfriend is, getting hit on by another driver. It's great. I love it. Who's my favorite driver? Look, that's a good question. Pugs, you say you're a Formula One guy. Who's your favorite driver? Well, I mean, I was always a Lewis Hamilton guy, right? I mean, but I was a Lewis Hamilton guy before Drive to Survive, but that's kind of a tap out. That's like asking somebody, oh, you like the NBA? Who's your favorite player? And that person going, LeBron, it's kind of a tap out. So if you want to delve a little bit deeper, I really like Daniel Ricciardo, but I don't think he's got a ride anymore. So I don't know how to really put him I like Jean Leclerc, Ferrari driver, Jean Leclerc a lot. I don't love my McLaren drivers just yet. I mean, we need to see a little bit more. They've got a couple of Oscar Piastra. He's one of them. George, who's the guy that I really like from Mercedes? The British driver from Mercedes, George. I hate that I'm getting old. He's one of my favorite guys. Who's the George guy that drives for Mercedes in Formula One? Oh, fuck me. It's fucking George Russell. I like George Russell. Anyway, Drive to Survive tonight. Have a good weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Be cool to everybody, right? Don't be a dick. We don't need anybody being dicks to each other. And we'll rally back here at noon, right? Spread the word. Tell a friend. Come back Monday, another show and another week of The Rant with me, Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. Love you. Bye.